Chapter 1079. Elixir. This is a supreme-grade elixir. The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace were pleasantly surprised when they discovered the situation. Let's move quickly. We have to occupy this place as soon as possible. We can't let others find us, especially those from Senma College. The few of them were excited. They chased after the aura and flew quickly. Soon, they arrived in front of the pavilion. It's here. Let's go in. They did not hesitate and quickly entered the pavilion. They were very fast. It did not take long for them to see the herb garden full of supreme-grade elixirs. Damn. So many elixirs. We're rich. We're really rich this time. These elixirs could not be found in the outside world. Each of them could be sold for a sky-high price. They were absolutely precious. The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace were very excited. Their eyes were red as they rushed forward crazily. However, before they could get close, they were blocked by a few black tortoise guards. Damn, there are people from the Black Tortoise clan here. After being blocked, the few of them were furious. Their faces were very ugly. Because they had been unimpeded all the way, they thought that there was no one guarding this place. They did not expect that as soon as they got close to the supreme-grade herb garden, there would be black tortoises blocking them. They couldn't accept it. How could they accept it? There are 4 of us, and only 3 of them. As long as we attack with all our strength, we can definitely rush through. A disciple of the Divine Bird Palace said quickly. The other 3 nodded, and then attacked with all their strength. However, they still underestimated the Black Tortoise clan. After fighting for a while, they could not rush through at all. They even wanted to use their advantage of speed to leave the black tortoises behind, but in the end, it did not happen. Because the space was small, it was not conducive to using movement techniques. Damn, these black tortoises are so difficult to deal with. Damn, I'm so angry. The treasure is right in front of us, but we can't get it. Who can understand this feeling? I'm going crazy. The 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace were very mad. At this moment, one of them widened his eyes and pointed in front of him in disbelief. As if he had seen a ghost, his eyes almost popped out of their sockets because he found a figure in the supreme-grade herb garden, quickly picking the elixirs. Damn, look, there's someone. The disciple screamed. Someone? Are you kidding me? How can there be someone in there? We are so powerful, but we can't go in. How can others go in? Unless it's a senior figure. Yes, but when we came here, we didn't find any traces of the older generation. Are you so mad that you're hallucinating? The other 3 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace didn't believe him. However, when they turned to look inside, they were all stunned. F***CK your grandpa. What's going on? F***CK. There's really someone. Mother***cur. He's not from the older generation. Seeing this scene, the 4 disciples of Sacred Bird Palace were completely stunned. They stood there motionlessly. That was because they discovered that the figure in front of them was not someone from the older generation. However, this was not the most shocking thing. What shocked them the most was that they actually discovered something else. F***CK, what did I just see? A snake. It's actually a red snake. How did it get in? Oh, my eyes are going blind. Why is there a furry thing? Who can tell me how the 3 of them got in? The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace were dumbfounded because they couldn't figure out how the other party got in. After all, the 4 of them couldn't blast away the other party's 3 black turtles even after risking their lives. At this time, inside the herb garden, the Crimson Dragon also turned around and looked at the 4 figures outside the door. He quickly said, "Hey, there are 4 little reptiles coming." Lin Xian didn't even turn his head. He quickly said, "Ignore them, hurry up and pick them. We'll leave as soon as we're done." He wasn't worried at all because with the black turtles, those people couldn't get in at all. By the time those elders came in, he had already finished plucking them. Therefore, Lin Xian ignored the 4 disciples of the divine bird palace outside. The crimson dragon turned around and revealed a very disdainful smile. Then he stretched out his dragon claws and despised them. Seeing this scene, the faces of the 4 disciples of the divine bird palace outside suddenly turned green. Mother asterisk cur, what is he doing? How dare he despise me? Stinking reptile, come out. Believe it or not, I'll hack you to death. I can't stand it. I really can't stand it. I'm going to kill them. The 4 of them were about to go crazy. When had they ever been despised? Moreover, the other party was a snake. However, they couldn't beat the 3 black turtles in front of them at all, so they could only vomit blood in anger. Hey, that's not right. Why aren't the 3 of them attacked? After messing around for a while, the 4 of them calmed down and looked inside with a suspicious look. It was because it was too strange. The 3 black turtles fought fiercely when they saw them, but they didn't attack the 3 people inside. It was really strange. Damn it, don't these black turtles have bad eyesight? Can't they see the situation behind them? No, let's draw the attention of the black turtles and let them attack the kid inside. We'll take advantage of the chaos and go in. The 4 of them discussed and acted again. However, no matter how hard they struggled, the 3 black turtles ignored Lin Xian directly and didn't respond at all. God, can someone tell me what's going on? Are these 3 black turtles blind? Damn it, there are 3 big people inside, but you don't fight them. Why do you have to target the 4 of us? Are you crazy? The 4 of them were going crazy because there were top-grade spiritual herbs inside. Every one of them was a heaven-defying treasure. However, they were so close, but they could only watch helplessly. This was definitely a scene that would make one vomit blood. Don't try anymore. It's useless. There might be a special seal inside that prevents these black turtles from entering, one of them said. Hearing this, the other 3 also fell silent because this was the only explanation that could explain the situation in front of them. Then what should we do? Are we going to give up just like that? Let that kid take advantage of us? They didn't recognize Lin Xian because at this moment, Lin Xian is maintaining a high-speed state, leaving behind only after images. So, it's normal that they didn't recognize Lin Xian. Otherwise, if they knew it was Lin Xian, they would vomit blood even more. Give up just like that? Impossible. Let's lure more black turtles and block this door. I'll see how this kid comes out later. We can't let others get what we can't get. One of the disciples revealed a ferocious smile. You guys go and see if you can lure more black turtles. Soon, the disciples of Divine Bird Palace moved and flew inside. Not long after, they lured 3 more black turtles. 6 black turtles wandered around the herb garden, while the 4 disciples of Divine Bird Palace retreated to the side and waited with sneers on their faces. Humph, how dare you steal our things? Let's see how you die this time. Chapter 1080. Humph, how dare you steal our things? Let's see how you'll die this time. The 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace smiled sinisterly. In the premium herb garden, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon quickly picked the herbs. It didn't take long for them to finish. At this moment, there were only a few scattered spiritual herbs left in the entire herb garden. Lin Xian and the other 2 didn't care about these. Forget it, don't pick them. Leave some for the Xian Turtle Clan. Lin Xian touched his storage ring and said with a smile, Well, then be merciful and leave some for them. The Crimson Dragon stopped picking after hearing this. The snow-white monkey also swished back to Lin Xian's shoulder and nodded. If there were experts from the Xian Turtle Clan here, they would definitely vomit blood. Leave some? F***CK. Leave some for us. This is all ours, okay? Even the Xian Turtle leader's mouth twitched. However, he was already controlled by Lin Xian, so he couldn't resist at all. Well, it's about time. Let's leave and go to the next treasure hunt. Lin Xian clapped his hands in satisfaction. With a flash of his body, he headed to the next location. Outside, the 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace hid in the dark and stared at the entrance of the herb garden. Suddenly, their expressions changed, and they became excited. Damn, they're out. They're really out. Humph, let's see how you'll die this time. The few of them sneered. In their opinion, the 6 black tortoises were too powerful. It was impossible for Lin Xian's team to resist them. Haha, I'd like to see what this kid can do. What can he do? He's dead for sure. The 6 Xian turtles are absolutely powerful. That kid can't resist. Humph, he deserves it. Who told him to steal our things? The 4 of them discussed quickly, as if they had already seen the result they wanted. However, in the next moment, their eyeballs almost fell out because they saw a figure calmly walk out of the herb garden and stride past the 6 Xian turtle guards. As for the 6 black tortoise guards, they were like statues and didn't react at all. F***CK your grandpa. What's going on? F***CK. Are those 6 black turtles dead? Why isn't there any reaction at all? These people were completely stunned. It was as if 10,000 alpacas were running through their minds, because this was simply too strange. Originally, they thought that when he came out, he would definitely be surrounded by the 6 Xian turtles and then mercilessly killed. However, the situation was completely different from what they had expected. Not only was the other party not injured, they were not even surrounded. Those Xian turtles stood there motionlessly, as if they didn't see anything. Ghost, it must be a ghost. The 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace went crazy. However, when they saw the silhouette clearly, their hearts shook, and they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. F***CK, why is it that kid? What? It's him. These people went crazy again because they didn't realize that the person who came out was none other than Lin Xian, their sworn enemy. Originally, they were already extremely sullen, and the other party's identity gave them a heavy blow, directly crushing them. Damn it, I can't tolerate this. Come on, kill him. The elixir is ours. The 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace had bloodshot eyes. Like crazy rabbits, they quickly rushed up. However, as soon as they went up, the 6 Xian turtles in front also moved. One by one, they roared and quickly rushed up. In an instant, the 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace were blocked. F***CK your grandpa. Why are you moving again? Why don't you kill him? Why? The 4 people roared wildly. They were really crazy. This scene was too much of a bully. They were all humans. Why did they let go of Lin Xian and catch them instead? However, no one answered him. Lin Xian merely sneered. As for the 6 black tortoise bodyguards, they immediately began to attack. Suddenly, there was a miserable howl from behind, and Lin Xian's figure flashed and set off into the depths of the pavilion. Soon, Lin Xian collected a lot of treasures. Half a day later, he left the pavilion with satisfaction. The martial arts disciples outside were even crazier. They collected the treasures crazily and almost turned the building upside down. Lin Xian did not continue to search, but wandered around. Because he disappeared for half a day, he had to show his face. Otherwise, it would arouse suspicion. However, as soon as he came out, he saw a few people of the Divine Bird Palace rushing towards him. It's him. It's him. He just took the best quality herb garden. Yes, this guy is too despicable. He took our things. The 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace had escaped and were now pointing at Lin Xian with a ferocious expression. They did escape, but they did not get anything at all, and they were injured. It could be said that they were extremely unlucky. Now, seeing Lin Xian appear, they were even angrier. So they quickly called the other disciples of the Divine Bird Palace to come and make trouble. They even inverted black and white, saying that Lin Xian took their things. Boy, How dare you take our divine bird palace's things? I think you don't want to live anymore. If you know what's good for you, hand over the things obediently, and we may let you go. Humph, don't think that you can be unscrupulous just because you're from Senma College. Let me tell you, our divine bird palace is not to be trifled with. Quickly hand over those best quality spiritual herbs. These people were all fierce, staring at Lin Xian, their eyes full of fire. They had already learned from the 4 disciples that Lin Xian robbed a huge best quality herb garden. Each of the spiritual herbs in it was extremely precious, and many of them were extinct in the outside world. This was definitely a huge wealth and temptation, so these people would not give up. The 4 people's voices were so loud that it directly alarmed the people around. When the Senma College disciples saw it, their faces changed dramatically. What's going on? Why are they in conflict with Lin Xian? I heard that the 2 sides have a grudge before, but they shouldn't be in conflict at this time. Yes, is there any other reason? I heard that junior brother Lin seems to have taken their spiritual herbs, and now the 2 sides are arguing. A Senma College disciple said, Junior brother Lin took their spiritual herbs? After hearing this, the crowd was stunned. But at this time, Bing Ling and the others walked over and said coldly, the things here are ownerless, and if there are any, they belong to the Xian Turtle clan. How can the divine bird palace say that junior brother Lin took their things? This is clearly picking a fight, and they don't take Senma College seriously, Yi Yin coldly said from the side. They had all been on a mission with Lin Xian, so they were very supportive of Lin Xian. How dare they bully us, Senma College disciples? Here, they're picking a fight. Let's go support junior brother Lin and see who dares to look down on Senma College. Yes, damn it, Divine Bird Palace dares to bully Senma College. They must be tired of living. Damn 3-headed bird, I've been unhappy with them for a long time. How dare a 6th-rank sect ride on our heads? Chapter 1081. We support junior brother Lin. Let's go and demand an explanation. With someone taking the lead, these people were naturally not afraid. The group of people marched forward. More and more people from the Divine Bird Palace arrived. Finally, the 2 sides confronted each other, and the atmosphere was very tense. At this time, the older generation figures were also alarmed. They gave up their search and quickly came over, shouting coldly, "What are you doing?" The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace turned their heads and quickly said, "Elders, you came at the right time. This kid is too hateful. He dared to steal our best spiritual herbs. Elders, you came at the right time. This kid is too hateful. He dared to steal our best spiritual herbs. You must uphold justice for us." The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace shouted loudly when they saw the elders coming. On the other hand, Senma College's side shouted angrily, "Bah, give it back to you. What things here belong to you? You're shameless." "That's right. You can't steal from us, Senma College. You're not strong enough, and you're still complaining. You're really thick-skinned." Senma College's side did not show any weakness. Lin Xian sneered and looked at them coldly. These guys really dared to talk and steal their spiritual herbs. Did he need to steal? Those 4 guys didn't even enter the door. However, the elders of the Divine Bird Palace did not care about that. Lin Xian was their enemy, and the temptation of the best spiritual herbs was too great. Even these older figures could not be spared. Therefore, they quickly came over and stared at Lin Xian and shouted coldly, "Kid, I'll give you a chance. Hand over the spiritual herbs you stole, and I can let bygones be bygones. Yes, we can give Senma College face, as long as you hand over the spiritual herbs. If it were not for Senma College, they would have already attacked them. Why would they waste time talking nonsense with Lin Xian?" However, they did not give Lin Xian any face now. They all scolded him coldly. However, Lin Xian sneered, You've lived for so many years. How can you still be so stupid? Just because he says it's a robbery, Which eye of yours saw it? Humph, don't quibble. You're the one who snatched our things. The four Divine Bird Palace disciples shouted loudly. Lin Xian was so angry that he laughed. He quickly said, "Well, tell me, how many spirit herbs did I steal from you? What kind of spirit herbs were they? As long as you can name one, I will give you all the spiritual herbs I have today." Suddenly, the disciples of Divine Bird Palace were speechless, because they were just talking nonsense. How could they know? However, in front of so many people, they couldn't admit it directly. They could only brace themselves and say it. Those are all extinct spiritual medicines. How could we possibly recognize them? But we do know that just by looking at their luster and aura, they are definitely top quality. You don't recognize him? Forget it. I can't blame you for being ignorant. Lin Xian shook his head slightly. You should be able to remember how many stalks. At your level, you should be able to tell with a glance. The disciples of Divine Bird Palace were speechless again. Of course, they didn't know. After all, they didn't even enter the herb garden. Seeing that they were speechless, Lin Xian said coldly, "You can't even answer the most basic question, and you still say that I stole from you. This lie is a bit too big." Around them, the celestial martial arts disciples were also angry when they heard this. "Damn, I thought it was robbery, but now it seems that it wasn't even robbery. You didn't even see a strand of hair, and you're just spreading rumors here? What do you mean? Do you think that Senma College is easy to bully? Damn, you have to give us an explanation. Otherwise, we won't be able to fool you so easily." The disciples of Senma College were anxious. Both sides had just joined forces and were allies, but now the other side had shed all pretense of cordiality and wanted to steal the spirit herbs from Lin Xian. They didn't put Senma College in their eyes at all. Thinking of this, the group of Senma College disciples was furious and stared at the people of Divine Bird Palace with unfriendly expressions. The faces of the four disciples of Divine Bird Palace were very ugly. Cold sweat flowed down their foreheads, and the faces of the elders were also very dark. They didn't expect their disciples to be so stupid. They didn't even understand these questions and dared to directly slander them. They were simply courting death. Not only that, but they were also dragged into the water. Now that they were in such a passive situation, the elders of Divine Bird Palace felt their faces darken as if they had been slapped in the face. However, the four disciples of Divine Bird Palace didn't give up. In the end, they gritted their teeth and quickly said, "I don't know what method this kid used to control the black turtles. I saw with my own eyes that he swaggered in front of 6 black turtles, and those black turtles attacked us crazily. Yes, that's why we missed the spirit herbs." The disciples of Divine Bird Palace shouted frantically, but the disciples of Senma College still sneered. "Doesn't this prove that you don't have the ability? Hurry up and get out of here. Don't make a fool of yourself here. It's impossible to slander Junior Brother Lin." "That's right. Who is Junior Brother Lin? He's an influential figure in our Immortal Martial Academy. He can annihilate all of you with a single finger." These people wouldn't even believe a word of the other party. Lin Xian also looked indifferent. Although the other party's guess was not far from the truth, and he could indeed control the black turtles, the other party had no evidence at all, so he was not afraid at all. He would like to see what other means the other party could use. After hearing this, the elders of Divine Bird Palace frowned. "Is what you said true?" "It's true, elder. This is what we saw with our own eyes. It can't be wrong." After hearing this, the elders of Divine Bird Palace suddenly sneered and stared at Lin Xian. "Boy, how are you going to explain now? Is it possible that you have some shady business with the black turtles?" The elder of Divine Bird Palace shouted loudly. Lin Xian, on the other hand, chuckled and gave him a look of disdain. This group of people's brains must be made of paste. Spies of the black turtles? Only they could think of such a thing. Lin Xian didn't even bother to explain such words. He could only look at them with deep contempt. At this time, Elder Song and the others also quickly came and asked coldly, "What's going on?" "Elder Song, you came just in time." "Yes, Elder. These three-headed birds are too abominable. They want to bully junior brother Lin and steal the spiritual medicine in his hands." The surrounding students of the Immortal Martial Academy chattered incessantly as they swiftly recounted the events that transpired. After hearing this, Elder Song and the others' faces darkened. After all, Lin Xian was not an ordinary disciple of Senma College. He was a famous figure in the college. Not only that, but he was also a special person who was specially taken care of by the college. Therefore, Elder Song and the others would never let him suffer a loss. Soon he turned his eyes and stared at the people of Divine Bird Palace. He said coldly, "You guys, what you've done is a bit too much. Do you really think that Senma College is easy to bully?" Hearing Elder Song's words, the eyes of the several elders of Divine Bird Palace twitched. Chapter 1082. However, the temptation of the elixir was too great, so they could only brace themselves and speak. "Elder Song, you misunderstood. I'm not targeting Senma College. It's just that this kid is too suspicious." "Well, I won't make things difficult for him. As long as he can explain why those black turtles didn't attack him, I'll let it go. If he can't explain, then don't blame us." After that, the elders of Divine Bird Palace stopped talking and looked coldly at Lin Xian. They wanted to see how he would explain. Hearing this, Elder Song and the others' faces darkened. It seemed that the other party was not going to give up. However, Lin Xian rolled his eyes and was speechless. He stood up and looked at the people of Divine Bird Palace and said coldly, "I thought that since you've lived for so long, you should have seen some things. I didn't expect that you couldn't even understand this. There's a technique called concealment that can hide a warrior's aura. Do you understand? I happen to know this technique. Is it strange?" Lin Xian said with a look of contempt. Finally, he used the heaven-changing technique to hide his aura. Suddenly, everyone was stunned because they could not feel Lin Xian's aura. "Do you want me to completely hide my body and show you?" Lin Xian's voice was full of ridicule. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the faces of the people of Divine Bird Palace darkened. However, the disciples of Senmu College laughed. "That's right. If you don't understand such a simple principle, how can you be a sixth-rank sect? Ridiculous. Ah, I've really learned something. I thought that there was not much difference between us and a sixth-rank sect. I didn't expect that there would be such a big difference. I've never even heard of this technique." Anyway, with Elder Song and the others there, the disciples of Senma College were not afraid that the other party would dare to attack, so they began to ridicule. After hearing this, the faces of the people of Divine Bird Palace darkened. They trembled with anger, especially the elders, whose faces turned green. Humiliation. This was an absolute humiliation. As elders, when had they ever been looked down upon? Yet now they were actually being looked down upon by a group of young descendants. This wasn't just a slap to their faces, it was a kick to their faces. Moreover, they were the ones who foolishly sent Lian up. Thinking of this, they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. The elders of Divine Bird Palace had an impulse to die, but Elder Song and the others also laughed. They were originally a little worried, but now it seemed that their worries were unnecessary. This was because they didn't even need to do anything. Lin Xian had already slapped the other party's face until it was swollen. "Seniors, I wonder if you can understand my explanation?" Lin Xian asked with a smile. Puff. Finally, an elder could not hold it in any longer and spurted out a mouthful of blood. He was angry. He was completely angry. It could be said that he was too hateful. "Humph, let's go." One of the elders waved his hand and left with his men. They had to leave because they were too ashamed to stay there any longer. Seeing the people of Divine Bird Palace leave in a huff, the surrounding disciples of Senmu College cheered. Many of them gave Lin Xian a thumbs up. "Junior brother Lin, you're awesome. That was so satisfying. I've been annoyed with them for a long time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, elders." Lin Xian was not arrogant and thanked the people around him. Although he was fine without their help, after all, the people around him had put in a lot of effort, so he was still very grateful. "It's okay. It's nothing." The group of people laughed. Then the crowd dispersed again to look for treasures. Lin Xian did not stay because, according to the information he got from the Black Tortoise leader, there was a relatively large treasury. There was no way he would miss that place. Using the illusionary demonic steps, Lin Xian's body turned into a flash of lightning and flew into the distance. However, things did not go as smoothly as he thought because the treasury was discovered. There were many people standing in front of him. They were people from Senmu College and Divine Bird Palace. "They're all here?" Lin Xian was incomparably shocked. It seemed that it was impossible for him to take all the treasures alone. Humph! At that moment, the people in front of him also saw Lin Xian. Senmu College's people did not show any reaction, but the people of Divine Bird Palace snorted heavily. Lin Xian had just slapped them hard in the face. Now that they saw Lin Xian, they were extremely jealous. Lin Xian sneered and did not care about the attitude of the other party at all. Instead, he strode in. "Kid, there are enough people here. Go away." Among them, a young man from Divine Bird Palace snorted. The young man was about 30 years old and looked very arrogant. He stared at Lin Xian and spoke in an unfriendly tone. There was no other way. Although this was a treasury, there were only so many things. One more person would mean less things for them. Therefore, the people of Divine Bird Palace did not want Lin Xian to come in at all. However, Lin Xian did not care about them. He must enter this place. In front, the martial artist from Divine Bird Palace saw that Lin Xian did not stop. Suddenly, his face sank. He snorted and quickly waved his hand. A vigorous energy gushed out. It was extremely fierce and rushed toward Lin Xian. This palm was very fierce and did not hold back at all. If hit, even a 4th-level venerable would not be able to withstand it. Seeing this scene, the faces of many Senmu College disciples changed. They did not expect the people of Divine Bird Palace to really make a move. However, the disciples of Divine Bird Palace in the back sneered. They had long disliked Lin Xian. Now that they could teach him a lesson, of course it was excellent. The young man waved his palm and suddenly sneered. "This is a lesson for you." However, before he could finish speaking, he was stunned, because in front of him, a sword light flashed and instantly cut the fierce palm shadow. Lin Xian was almost unaffected and was still striding forward. "What? How is this possible?" Seeing this scene, many disciples of Divine Bird Palace screamed. They did not believe it because the young man was not an ordinary person. He was a genius of their younger generation. Among the 4th-level venerables, there were few who could match him. They originally thought that this palm would be able to make the other party leave, but they did not expect that it would not hurt the other party at all. It did not even affect him. The disciples of Divine Bird Palace in the back were surprised, but the young man's face sank. Humiliating, too humiliating. Where would he put his face? No, I must get back at him. Thinking of this, he still wanted to make a move. However, in the next moment, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. His fierce gaze swept over like a sword light. Feeling this gaze, the young man's body trembled, revealing a terrified expression. That gaze was so terrifying that it made him feel a sense of fear. His body trembled uncontrollably. The young man could not stop all of this. Originally, the spiritual power in his body was surging, but under this gaze, it was completely extinguished. The palm that was about to wave also stopped in midair. Chapter 1083. Everyone was stunned, especially the young man who had attacked before. His face was extremely dark. He did not expect Lin Xian to be so powerful. He gritted his teeth and was about to attack again. However, when he saw Lin Xian's cold eyes, he suddenly felt fear in his heart. His eyes were too terrifying. They were like two sharp blades that pierced into his heart. For a moment, the young man did not dare to attack again. Lin Xian, on the other hand, snorted coldly and strode forward. This time, the people of the Divine Bird Palace did not dare to attack again. Lin Xian did not pay any attention to them. Instead, he quickly scanned the area. There were so many people here that he could not collect materials wantonly. Therefore, he could only pick one or two of the more precious items to sell. Lin Xian knew that there was a very precious tortoiseshell in the treasury from his conversation with the Black Tortoise leader. It was said that it was a tortoiseshell passed down from the ancestors of the Black Tortoise tribe. Everyone knew that the Black Tortoise tribe had a strong defense. A tortoiseshell passed down from ancient times must have been left behind by a peerless expert in the tribe. Therefore, one could imagine how strong its defense was. Lin Xian wanted to integrate the tortoiseshell into his Red Lotus armor. This would definitely increase his defense greatly. Thinking of this, his heart was burning with desire. He had to get his hands on it. The next moment, he scanned the entire treasury and searched for it. With his outstanding soul power and the information he had obtained from the Black Tortoise leader, Lin Xian quickly found the tortoiseshell. However, it was different from what he had imagined. The tortoiseshell did not look as powerful as it seemed. It even looked a little ordinary. In this dazzling collection of treasures, it was truly too inconspicuous. And it was even to the extent that it was almost forgotten. This was better. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up slightly. The next moment, he stretched out his hand and grabbed the quaint tortoiseshell. "Stop!" Suddenly, a cold shout was heard. This voice contained a hint of anger. Immediately after, a majestic energy burst forth and quickly blasted forward, blocking the light palm. Lin Xian frowned when he saw what happened, as it was the Divine Bird Palace that made a move. Although the people of Divine Bird Palace did not know the true origin of the tortoiseshell, they did not even take a fancy to the tortoiseshell. However, no matter what, they would not easily hand over anything in the treasury to Lin Xian. That was why the scene earlier had occurred. The one who attacked was a woman in red. Although she was pretty, she had a mean look on her face. Her chin was raised like a proud peacock. She was also a heaven's pride of the younger generation of the Divine Bird Palace. Her cultivation was even higher than that of the young man who had attacked before. She was even close to the fifth heaven of venerable. The woman looked at Lin Xian with a murderous look in her eyes. "Scram, I want that tortoiseshell." Lin Xian's voice was equally cold and sharp. This aggressive attitude directly angered the woman in red and made the faces of the people of Divine Bird Palace turn black. They were a sixth-rank sect, a lofty existence. However, at this moment, a junior was completely disregarding them. How preposterous! However, with the previous example, the woman in red did not immediately attack. Instead, she said coldly, "No one can touch the things here. Let's discuss how to distribute them." Discuss? Distribute? Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned and turned to look at Li Yunfei behind him. Li Yunfei's face was also ugly. He was probably arguing with the people of Divine Bird Palace just now. However, he still sent a sound transmission to Lin Xian to explain. Because this place was discovered by Divine Bird Palace first, and the two sects worked together to break the prohibition, Li Yunfei wanted to share it 50-50, but the other side was unwilling. Hearing this, Lin Xian sneered. "No matter who discovered it first, since they worked together to break the prohibition, it should be 50-50. But now, Divine Bird Palace was obviously insatiable. Lin Xian did not have a good impression of the people of Divine Bird Palace, and now he was even more disgusted. What's so great about finding it first? If you have the ability, break it yourself. If you don't have the ability, how can there be such a good thing in the world? Lin Xian sneered. Junior, you're courting death. Hearing this, the people of Divine Bird Palace suddenly shouted angrily. What? Not convinced? Or did I hit a sore spot? Lin Xian was not afraid of them. He continued, how about this? Let's have a few matches, and the winner has the right to choose. At the end of his words, he carried a domineering aura, and a fierce aura swept in all directions. At the same time, the snow-white monkey got into his sleeve and began to urge the small bowl on top of his head to collect the tortoiseshell. Everyone was staring at Lin Xian's aura, so no one noticed that the tortoiseshell was missing. Boy, it's not up to you to decide how to distribute it. An old man of Divine Bird Palace trembled with anger. Well, since you don't think my proposal is good, then pretend I didn't say anything. Lin Xian loosened his shoulders and retreated into the crowd. With the tortoiseshell in hand, he was too lazy to pay attention to these people. Seeing Lin Xian retreat, the people of Divine Bird Palace were stunned. They originally thought that Lin Xian would continue to pester them endlessly, but they did not expect him to retreat so quickly. Suddenly, they sneered in their hearts. This boy must be afraid of them. So he retreated. Thinking of this, the people of Divine Bird Palace were proud. However, they soon stopped laughing because someone found that the inconspicuous tortoiseshell had disappeared. How could it be? It disappeared. Look again. The people of Divine Bird Palace did not believe it and began to search everywhere. In the end, they searched the entire treasury but did not find the tortoiseshell. How could it be? The people of Divine Bird Palace were shocked, and their faces were ugly again. They did not expect that a treasure would disappear in front of their eyes. The people of Divine Bird Palace were stunned, then turned their heads and stared at Lin Xian. Boy, are you the one who took it? Hand it over quickly, or you'll be in trouble. If you don't make it clear, don't think about leaving today. The people of Divine Bird Palace looked gloomy, and they warred one by one. That's funny. Which eye of yours saw me do it? I was right here just now. Did you see me do it? Lin Xian said coldly. The people of Senma College were also angry. F***CK. I knew you were up to no good, but I didn't expect you to slander us like this. You're framing junior brother Lin for something that obviously didn't happen. You call yourselves a sixth-rank sect? I'm dying of laughter. You don't even know the truth, and you're casually framing a good person. How dare you call yourselves a sixth-rank sect? You've made trouble for Senma College time and time again. Do you really think we're easy to bully? Let's fight if you don't like it. Who's afraid of you? The group of Senma College disciples was angry. They were already angry because of the distribution of the treasures before, and now the other party had directly framed Lin Xian, which completely ignited their anger. Chapter 1084. The disciples of Senma College were finally angered by the people of Sacred Bird Palace. A group of people stared ahead, looking unfriendly. At this time, Li Yunfei also said coldly, "We didn't see junior brother Lin make a move, and I believe you didn't see it either. I don't think anyone can make a move in front of so many people without being noticed. At least with junior brother Lin's skills, it's impossible. So please control your attitude. Otherwise, Senma College is not to be trifled with." Hearing this, the people of Sacred Bird Palace snorted, but they didn't say anything, but their expressions were very ugly, because this was too strange. A treasure had disappeared in front of everyone just like that. Moreover, they didn't think it was Lin Xian who did it because he didn't have the strength to do so. After all, there were not only the younger generation of Sacred Bird Palace, but also the older generation. If it was really Lin Xian who made a move, they should have been able to sense it, but they didn't even notice a trace of abnormality, which meant that Lin Xian's skills were definitely above theirs. Therefore, based on cultivation strength, they ruled out Lin Xian. However, in their hearts, they couldn't let go of Lin Xian, because it was too much of a coincidence. Lin Xian had just arrived, and such a thing happened, so they couldn't help but be suspicious. Then what do you think is going on? The woman in red asked. Of course, they won't let this matter go. Li Yunfei pondered for a moment, and said slowly, to be able to make a move without being noticed, no one here can do it. Even the older generation of both sides can't do it. And those black tortoises can't do it. Besides the black tortoises and our side, there are not many people who can be suspicious. Hearing Li Yunfei's words, everyone was stunned, but the people of Sacred Bird Palace were stunned, and then exclaimed, "You mean that mysterious woman, Zhao Shui?" Zhao Shui was very mysterious and powerful, even more powerful than the older generation. Not only that, she didn't belong to any force, so she was the most likely. In terms of skills, it was very likely to be her. The people of Sacred Bird Palace quickly discussed. Lin Xian was also in a daze. He couldn't understand how Zhao Shui was involved in this matter. However, what made him speechless was that other than Zhao Shui, no one else had the ability to do so. Shaking his head helplessly, Lin Xian could only mourn for Zhao Shui. However, he was not worried because from her previous performance, Zhao Shui's strength was too strong. She was not inferior to the older generation. Therefore, it didn't matter even if these people were suspicious. On the other side, the more the people of the Holy Bird Palace thought about it, the more likely it was. They all gnashed their teeth, wishing they could find Zhao Shui and interrogate her. However, they were only angry and did not dare to do so. After all, the other party's strength far surpassed theirs. Humph. I thought she was an expert, but I didn't expect her to do such a thing. That's right. Not only did they occupy the largest palace, but they're also secretly attacking our treasures. How despicable. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief when he heard their curses. These people would not dare to cause trouble for Zhao Shui. Since this was the case, he could take advantage of this opportunity. Little White, get a few more treasures. Lin Xian transmitted his voice. In his sleeve, the little white monkey's big eyes narrowed into crescents. It held the small, worn-out bowl and attacked again. Then, a fist-sized purple liquid disappeared. What? The blood essence of the purple demon shark disappeared. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded, especially those from the Divine Bird Palace. They were going crazy. That was equivalent to the blood essence of a half-step demon king. It was the most precious thing in this treasury, but now it had disappeared. Ah, how despicable. You've gone too far. Give me back my half-step demon king blood essence. The people of the Holy Bird Palace were hopping mad. They had their eyes on the purple blood essence for a long time. They originally wanted to get it during the negotiation. However, they did not expect it to be gone now. Damn, Zhao Shui, you've gone too far. The Holy Bird Palace, and you are irreconcilable, despicable, and shameless. I'm so angry. A few elders also roared at the sky. The people of Senma College were also stunned. They did not expect this to happen. However, it was great to see the people of the Holy Bird Palace being humiliated. At this moment, a cold voice was heard. Who dares to talk about me behind my back? Along with this voice came a white figure. Zhao Shui. Seeing the figure, everyone was stunned. They did not expect Zhao Shui to be here. Lin Xian was also stunned. This was too much of a coincidence. But this is good. It's a good chance to teach the Holy Bird Palace a lesson. Thinking of this, Lin Xian stopped attacking and watched the show. At this moment, Zhao Shui stood in the void, exuding a terrifying aura. Her beautiful eyes were fixed on the people of the Holy Bird Palace. Feeling this terrifying aura, the disciples of the Holy Bird Palace did not dare to speak. Even the people of the older generation were astonished at this moment. Go on. Why did you stop? Zhao Shui said coldly. She was just passing by, but she did not expect someone to scold her. How audacious! After all, she was the one who defeated the elite of the Xian turtle tribe, so everything here belonged to her. And now, someone dared to scold her? Hearing Zhao Shui's words, the disciples of the Holy Bird Palace did not dare to speak. They had no choice. Her aura was too terrifying. It was not something they could resist. Give me a reason, or don't blame me for being rude, Zhao Shui said in a low voice. We don't want to, but there are things here that are mysteriously missing. An elder of the Holy Bird Palace told her the truth. You mean you suspect that I stole it? Zhao Shui's face darkened. The next moment, a huge force gushed out of her body. It was like a huge mountain wave crashing down. Boom. The disciples of the Holy Bird Palace were hit and flew backward, vomiting blood. Even the elders were forced to retreat. The elder of the Holy Bird Palace was shocked and trembled with anger. Intolerable bullying, intolerable bullying. Zhao Shui ignored him and said coldly, Do I need to steal what I want? What a joke. I've always taken what I want, just like this. With that, she waved her hand and took away a treasure the size of a small mountain. Seeing this, the hearts of the people of the Holy Bird Palace were bleeding. That was a real treasure. However, they did not dare to say anything. Zhao Shui's aura was enough to injure them. That kind of power was not something they could resist. Moreover, they understood that it was not Zhao Shui who did it. She did not need to be sneaky. She could have just taken it, just like now. No one dared to say anything. Chapter 1085. Looking at the scene in front of them, the faces of the Divine Bird Palace disciples turned green. Many of them were heartbroken. Those were genuine treasures, and they were taken away just like that. As for them, they could only watch helplessly. The Senma College disciples were also excited, but they did not dare to move. After all, they knew what happened to the Divine Bird Palace. However, there was one exception. Seeing Zhao Shui take action, Lin Xian did not bother with the white monkey anymore. Instead, he took action and began to divide the treasures in the room. Seeing this, everyone's eyes almost popped out, especially the Divine Bird Palace disciples. Besides shock, they were also angry. Those were their things, and they were taken by this despicable guy. Lin Xian, how dare you? Kid, you're courting death. Put down the things. Countless voices rang out, all from the Divine Bird Palace disciples. They could not take it anymore. If it was Zhao Shui, they would have let it go because they could not beat her and could only suffer. However, Lin Xian was not one of them. They were not afraid of Lin Xian at all. Therefore, when the Divine Bird Palace disciples saw Lin Xian snatching the treasures, they were instantly enraged. However, Lin Xian did not care about those people at all. Instead, he quickly took action. There were good things in here. He had to snatch them quickly. At this moment, the Senmu College disciples widened their eyes and exclaimed in their hearts, this Lin Xian was too bold. At this moment, Zhao Shui also looked back with a trace of doubt on her beautiful face. She did not expect that someone would dare to take action. Seeing Zhao Shui looking over, Lin Xian also stopped. He had a glimmer of hope that she would recognize him. However, he was disappointed because Zhao Shui still did not recognize him. Zhao Shui's beautiful eyes turned. For some reason, she felt that the figure in front of her was very familiar, as if she had seen him somewhere before. However, she just could not remember. You dare to take action? Zhao Shui asked softly. Why wouldn't I? Lin Xian smiled. It's my honor to fight with a beauty. You're very special. I think I've seen you somewhere before, Zhao Shui said. Oh, hearing this, Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat. Did she remember something? However, Zhao Shui continued, it just feels familiar, but I can't remember. The two of them chatted for a while before harvesting the treasures again. When the people of the Divine Bird Palace saw that Lin Xian was not punished, they immediately became angry and wanted to attack him. Sure enough, a few bold disciples ran out wanting to make a move. At this moment, Zhao Shui frowned and nodded, as if struck by lightning. The disciples hurriedly ran back in fright. Lin Xian happened to see the scene and immediately sneered. They were indeed a bunch of good-for-nothings. The people from Senma College also tried to make a move, but they were also warned. Hence, a strange scene unfolded. Countless disciples stared at Lin Xian and Zhao Shui as they looted the entire treasury. Although they obtained a lot of treasures, Lin Xian was still a little disappointed that Zhao Shui did not recognize him. He was now sure that Zhao Shui must have lost her memory for some reason, but he did not know if it was permanent. Lin Xian sighed as he gazed at the beautiful back of her figure. Not long after Zhao Shui left, Elder Song and the others arrived. This made the people of the Divine Bird Palace gnash their teeth in anger because they did not have a chance to attack Lin Xian. Zhao Shui left. It seems that she's heading towards the Dragon Palace. We don't want to stay here. Although the things here are good, they are still lacking compared to the Dragon Palace. Elder Song said. Everyone nodded because they were almost done with their loot. At the same time, they were also very excited because just the Xian turtle tribe alone had so many treasures. One could imagine how attractive the Dragon Palace was. The Dragon Palace was at the center of the entire underwater building. It was an ancient and mysterious existence. Moreover, everyone knew that the closer they were to the Dragon Palace, the stronger the sea demons were. For example, the Xian turtle tribe was much stronger than the shrimp soldiers. Fortunately, they had Zhao Shui. Otherwise, they would not have been able to enter so easily. With Elder Song's suggestion, everyone did not delay and went on their way quickly. They were in such a hurry because they wanted to use Zhao Shui's power to enter the Dragon Palace. The people of the Divine Bird Palace also had the same plan. Therefore, no one said anything and went on quickly. Not long after, they passed through the area where the Xian turtle tribe was and came to a vast area. In front of them, there was a 5-colored crystal palace. It was very huge, like a celestial palace. Looking at the palace in front of them, everyone's breathing quickened. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes because the surging power was even clearer here. The crimson dragon curled its lips and did not seem to be interested. Lin Xian was rather surprised by this, because according to this guy's character, when he saw such a powerful treasure, he would definitely jump up and attack. But now, he was indifferent. You're not tempted? Lin Xian asked curiously. It's not a good thing. The crimson dragon shook its head. Although the energy is very strong, the aura is not good. There's even evil in it. I'm a pure Eastern divine dragon. I won't swallow this source of evil. Source of evil? Hearing this, Lin Xian was shocked. To be honest, he did not feel it before. Now that Rizalong mentioned it, he really did feel an evil aura in the energy. However, he could not say that it was evil because he felt that the murderous aura was just a little stronger. Since Rizalong did not want to snatch it, it was for the best. Lin Xian stroked his chin and looked forward. Not only him, but everyone around him also looked forward with a burning gaze, especially those of the older generation. Their eyes were red, and their breathing was heavy. They were too old, and it was not easy for them to improve their cultivation. However, if they could obtain this surging energy, their cultivation would definitely improve greatly. By then, not only would their strength increase, but their lifespan would also increase. Finally, someone could not help it. A disciple of the Divine Bird Palace stepped forward. Everyone was watching nervously because they knew that there must be a prohibition in such an important place. That disciple also stepped forward cautiously. However, he was not stopped and walked in. What? Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. Then they all went crazy. There's no prohibition. Ha 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 ha. God is helping me. Charge. The group of people went crazy and rushed in. Lin Xian was also surprised. He took a deep breath, and his eyes were full of caution because this was too abnormal. How could there be no prohibition in such an important place? Therefore, he braced himself and walked in. Chapter 1086. The fact that there were no restrictions in the Dragon Palace was surprising. Perhaps it had been broken by someone, or perhaps it never existed in the first place. No one knew the exact situation, and no one cared. What they cared about was what was inside the Dragon Palace. Lin Xian followed the crowd and walked into the Dragon Palace. He ignored the treasures around him because one thing caught his attention. Not only him, but everyone's attention was on it. In the middle of the Dragon Palace, there was a dragon pillar with 2 dragons engraved on it, coiling around each other. Between the 2 dragon heads, there was a blue crystal ball with light flowing on it. It was obvious that it contained powerful energy. Dragon Ball! Someone shouted. Instantly, everyone's attention was on it. This energy, countless people were excited, including the older generation figures. However, in the next moment, everyone's expression changed, and they were shocked. That was because there was a white figure in front of them. Zhao Shui, a disciple exclaimed. It was indeed Zhao Shui. Moreover, there were other figures as well. They were all sea demons, and many of them were injured. A few of them were lying on the ground, obviously killed. It seemed that before they arrived, Zhao Shui had a huge battle with these people. However, it didn't seem to go well because the Dragon Ball was still under the protection of the sea demons. Lin Xian's expression was solemn because he knew that in order to get the Dragon Ball, he had to defeat the sea demons. He furrowed his brows and looked ahead. There were 3 powerful mermaids in front of him. They had human bodies and shark heads. They looked ferocious and had a shark tail on their backs. The 3 of them were unusually powerful and far surpassed the other sea demons. Apart from the 3 of them, there was an even more dangerous pure-blooded one. This person was even more demonic. He was shrouded in a black aura, and his hair was fluffy like the tentacles of an octopus that kept twisting. Apart from his strange appearance, his aura was also the most powerful. He had reached the 5th heaven of the honorable realm. Seeing this scene, many people were inwardly shocked, and even more people wanted to continue onward. Everyone, back off. Zhao Shui didn't turn around, but reminded them coldly. However, no one cared because they thought that Zhao Shui just didn't want them to participate. In front of such a precious Dragon Ball, how could these people listen? Thus, in an instant, many disciples rushed forward. However, in the next instant, those people started to panic. This was because all the martial artists who approached the Dragon Ball were pulled by a suction force and uncontrollably walked forward. Moreover, the closer they got to the Dragon Ball, the less flesh they had. In the end, they were reduced to a pile of bones. No. The elders of the Divine Bird Palace roared madly because among them were their proud disciples. The faces of Elder Song and the rest changed as well. They kept yelling, "No one is allowed to go over." In fact, even without Elder Song's reprimand, everyone retreated. No one dared to step forward. The scene just now was too strange. Those disciples who had turned into skeletons did not scream in pain. They even had smiles on their faces, as if they were on a pilgrimage. What's the situation? This thing is too strange. That's right. It's as if there's some kind of magical power that can attract people. Damn it, I don't want to go up again. That thing doesn't look like anything good. Many disciples shook their heads frantically. Hey, someone went up? Damn. Who's so fierce? Does he want to die? Seeing that someone was advancing instead of retreating, these people were stunned. and screamed one by one, "Lin Xian! It's junior brother Lin!" The disciples of Senma College cried out in alarm, "Junior brother Lin, come back!" Bing Ling and the others shouted, trying to call Lin Xian back. "Oh no! Is he under evil influence? What should we do? That Dragon Ball is too strange." The disciples of Senma College were anxious. Elder Song and the others also looked gloomy. On the other side, the people of the Divine Bird Palace sneered. They had lost a lot of disciples and were in a heavy mood, but now they were excited when they saw this scene. "Haha, it's that kid. He's also under evil influence? That's great. He's overestimating himself. Even the elders don't dare to go up, but a junior dares to approach. He's really courting death. He brought this on himself." The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace sneered, but soon they couldn't laugh anymore because they found that Lin Xian was fine. His body wasn't hurt, and his face didn't show any signs of infatuation. He even stopped halfway through. "What's going on? Is that kid okay? How is that possible?" The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace looked as if they had seen a ghost. "Haha, I knew it. With Junior Brother Lin's ability, he'll be fine. Yeah, since Junior Brother Lin dares to go up, it means he's confident. Ridiculous, some people are still mocking him. What a slap in the face. How dare you question Junior Brother Lin? Are you out of your mind?" The people of Senma College retorted, staring at the Divine Bird Palace with contempt. These people were too abominable. Now, they were slapped in the face. Hearing these taunts, the disciples of the Divine Bird Palace all looked gloomy and cold. Zhao Shui was also surprised. She didn't expect anyone to come up. So she looked at Lin Xian a few more times. Lin Xian shrugged and said slowly, "From the situation just now, those people should be affected by the soul power. So, as long as they are careful, don't be confused, and stand outside the safety line, there should be no problem." Lin Xian wouldn't joke about his life. The reason why he came up was that he had figured it all out. Since Zhao Shui was fine, it meant that the Dragon Ball was not as scary as he imagined. Or, it was scary because of a condition. After analysis, Lin Xian found this condition. That was why he was able to stand safely now. When the people behind heard this, they also showed a look of realization. A small number of people showed a happy expression, but most of them still had a bitter look. They didn't have such strong soul power. Elder Song and a few other elders breathed a sigh of relief and approached carefully. Dugu Outyen was full of sword intent and was incomparably fierce. Naturally, he was not afraid of the interference of soul power. Li Yunfei also raised his hand and threw out a tattered picture scroll. He held it above his head and slowly approached. The picture scroll was yellow. Although it was incomplete, its aura was terrifying. At this moment, rays of light hung down and enveloped Li Yunfei. On the other side, the elders of the Divine Bird Palace also used various methods to get closer to the Dragon Ball. Lin Xian ignored the people behind him. The reason why he said it was because he knew that it was easy to get close, but it was very difficult to seize the Dragon Ball. He had to rely on the strength of everyone. Zhao Shui also ignored them. At this moment, she was staring at the Dragon Ball and studying it carefully because she felt an inexplicable sense of danger. She didn't act rashly. "What do you think?" Zhao Shui looked at Lin Xian. Chapter 1087. "What do you think?" Zhao Shui asked. Lin Xian was slightly surprised. He did not expect Zhao Shui to ask him. After pondering for a moment, he said slowly, "Logically speaking, such an important place should be protected by layers of formations. But there's nothing here. Don't you think it's strange?" Hearing this, Zhao Shui nodded gently. Lin Xian continued, "There must be a reason for this abnormality. So I think this Dragon Ball must be very evil. Or rather, there are dangers here that we don't know about. Your analysis is about the same as mine, Zhao Shui said softly. Then she moved her jade-like feet and walked forward. It seemed that she wanted to deal with the sea monsters in front of her. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. To be honest, he also wanted to obtain this Dragon Ball because the energy contained in it was too powerful. If he could obtain it, he would definitely be able to improve his cultivation again. So, seeing Zhao Shui move forward, Lin Xian also took a deep breath and moved forward again. Seeing this scene, the disciples of Senma College were shocked. They had only taken a few steps, but they were almost affected by the Dragon Ball and lost their minds. Lin Xian was closer to it than they were, but nothing happened. Now he was even moving forward. The gap between them was simply too great. The people of Divine Bird Palace were even more gloomy. They glared at Lin Xian fiercely, wanting to eat him up. Damn it, this kid is too strange. He can get so close. Is he not afraid of the Dragon Ball's influence? How is that possible? This kid is too arrogant. Just watch, he will be in trouble soon. Yes, maybe he will lose his mind soon and become a pile of bones, the disciples of Divine Bird Palace said fiercely. However, to their disappointment, Lin Xian was not affected at all. In the end, he even arrived in front of the two dragon pillars. Looking at the lifelike dragon pillars, Lin Xian was amazed. However, he did not act rashly. The Dragon Ball had too much influence on him at this moment. If he made the slightest mistake, he would be affected. It could be said that although Lin Xian appeared to be safe, he was actually in grave danger. However, when Lin Xian activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul, all the effects disappeared. The Great Dragon Sword Soul was an offensive saint art that could destroy everything. Therefore, even if the Dragon Orb was very strange, it could not fight against the Great Dragon Sword Soul. In fact, the moment Lin Xian activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul, the Dragon Pearl trembled slightly before releasing an even more demonic light. Lin Xian noticed this. Could it be that the Dragon Pearl is afraid of the Great Dragon Sword Spirit? Thinking of this, he was overjoyed. If that was really the case, then that would be great. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian extended his hand and slowly reached for the two dragon pillars. The next moment, he touched the dragon pillar. On the two dragon pillars, two real dragons were engraved, circling each other. At this moment, Lin Xian's hand gently brushed past them, causing a sudden fluctuation of energy. Lin Xian was overjoyed because he felt that the two dragon pillars also contained powerful energy. Although it was not as powerful as the Dragon Orb, it was still very amazing. More importantly, Lin Xian could now come into contact with it. Seeing this scene, everyone was extremely envious, while the people of the Divine Bird Palace gritted their teeth. Damn it, why is he still okay? Impossible. This is an illusion. This must be an illusion. Damn, how is it possible? He really touched the dragon pillar. The people of the Divine Bird Palace felt like they were going crazy, and even the elders' faces were gloomy. However, at this moment, an angry voice came from behind, like the roar of a savage beast. Stupid humans, how dare you disturb the Dragon King's rest? You will all die. This voice was filled with endless anger. When everyone heard this, they were shocked and turned around. Then they saw a sea demon rushing over quickly. He was still injured, as if he had just gone through a great battle. Prime Minister Hai, this group of humans wants to snatch the Dragon Orb. A few of the surviving sea demons screamed. Prime Minister Hai rushed over quickly, and when he saw the sea demon corpses all over the ground, he was so angry that he trembled. Damn humans! How dare you kill the people of the Sea Clan? The Dragon King will not let you go. Everyone's faces changed because Prime Minister Hai's aura was too powerful, almost having the strength of a seventh heaven venerable. For such a person, no one among them could stop him except for Zhao Shui. However, What shocked them even more was that this powerful Prime Minister Hai seemed to be injured, and the injuries were fresh. Who was it that could actually injure Prime Minister Hai? Just as everyone was puzzled, another earth-shaking shout came from behind them, accompanied by a terrifying aura that overflowed into the sky. The next moment, countless figures rushed over from afar, bringing with them a powerful torrent, and their momentum was terrifying. Seeing the scene, everyone was stunned, and even Lin Xian frowned, because there were too many people, and it was almost the same as the team of Senma College and the Divine Bird Palace. Such a team was in existence that could not be ignored, not to mention that they were here for the Dragon Orb. Moreover, there was a powerful aura of a seventh heaven venerable. This made even Elder Song and the others' faces turn gloomy. The leader was a middle-aged man, dressed in a silver robe, holding a folding fan in his hand, and as he waved it, it brought with it surging waves. "You're courting death." Prime Minister Hai saw that those people were chasing him, and he was furious. In a flash, he came near the dragon orb and quickly waved the staff in his hand. "Dragon King, please bestow me with power." As he chanted, the dragon orb above suddenly bloomed with a dazzling light, and a dragon-shaped spiritual power flew out from the dragon orb and entered Prime Minister Hai's body. Immediately, Prime Minister Hai's face lit up, and a low sound came from his body, like muffled thunder. A layer of light gushed out and enveloped him. "Humph, petty tricks, no matter what you use, it's futile. Stay here," the middle-aged man with the fan said coldly, like an emperor. The next moment, he waved the folding fan in his hand, and a huge curved wind blade appeared. The seawater was mercilessly cut open in an instant, and the entire underwater world seemed to be cut in half. The middle-aged man was a seventh heaven venerable, so his attack was naturally terrifying, and its power was shocking. The azure wind blade was like a heavenly blade, and it ruthlessly landed on Prime Minister Hai's body. Bang! A violent trembling sound rang out, spreading in all directions. Light bloomed on Prime Minister Hai's body, forming the strongest armor to protect his body. This energy came from the dragon orb above, and it was mysterious. Although there was only one, it was still very terrifying. The aura contained, and it was not something that a venerable could understand. Therefore, this huge wind blade did not cause any damage to the light at all. What? Seeing this, the middle-aged man with the fan had a very ugly expression. Chapter 1088. When the huge wind blade struck Prime Minister Hai's body, it emitted a sonorous rumble. However, to everyone's surprise, the terrifying attack only emitted a deafening sound and did not cause any substantial damage to Prime Minister Hai. What? How is this possible? The middle-aged man with the folding fan was extremely shocked. His face was filled with horror. This was completely beyond his expectations because not long ago, Prime Minister Hai had been beaten to the point of vomiting blood and had fled with serious injuries. However, in just a short moment, his opponent had become so powerful that he could ignore his attack. This was too strange. The cultivators that followed the middle-aged man were also shocked. They were all dumbfounded. However, at this moment, Prime Minister Hai moved. He waved the staff in his hand, forming a huge blue light that surged forward like a wave. In an instant, the middle-aged man was beaten back. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene because the middle-aged man was a seventh heavenly layer exalt realm expert. However, he was actually unable to defeat a sea demon. This was simply too shocking. Lin Xian also frowned. He did not stay and quickly left the dragon pillar. He realized that the reason why Prime Minister Hai was so powerful was because he had used the energy within the dragon pearl. He retreated to a safe place and silently observed the situation ahead. In front, the middle-aged man stabilized his body with a shocked expression. However, In the next moment, a powerful aura erupted from his body, and he attacked again. Prime Minister Hai sneered and quickly waved his staff. Immediately, the two attacks collided again. The seventh heavenly layer, Venerable, was beaten back again with a pale face. Seeing this scene, everyone was silent. Lin Xian's frown deepened. He realized that Prime Minister Hai's attack did not have any profound technique, but the energy it contained was extremely terrifying. It was completely using energy to crush. However, the suppression of power was the most difficult to resist. Unless the other party had a supreme technique, like the great dragon sword spirit like him, only then would they be able to fight above their level. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to defeat this sea demon. Dragon King Tsunami. After repelling the middle-aged man with one move, Prime Minister Hai shouted again. This time, he raised the staff in his hand high and connected it to the dragon pearl above. A blue energy wave was emitted from the staff and spread to the surroundings. In an instant, it enveloped the entire dragon palace. In the next moment, all the martial artists present were horrified. This was because they discovered that the spiritual energy in their bodies was disappearing at a rapid rate. This phenomenon was too terrifying. Because the martial artists had lost their spiritual power, it was difficult for them to display any strength. And now, the situation was so dangerous. Without spiritual power, they could not fight against the sea demons. Lin Xian also felt the loss of spirit energy in his body. At the same time, he quickly used his soul force to carefully investigate. He found that the lost spirit energy was all flowing into the Dragon Ball in front of him. As for the Dragon Ball, it shone even brighter. With a cold snort, Lin Xian operated the great dragon sword soul in his body and quickly cut off this connection. In the next moment, the spiritual energy in his body returned to normal and no longer flowed out. However, the others were not so lucky. They could not escape the deprivation of the Dragon Balls. However, they would not sit still and wait for death. The middle-aged man, who was a seventh-layer venerable, shouted, "Are you from Senma College and Divine Bird Palace? We are from Merry Woods. The current situation is very dangerous. I think we should join forces." Okay. Elder Song did not hesitate and immediately agreed. The Divine Bird Palace also quickly responded. There was no other way. In the current situation, they could not get rid of it alone. Only by joining forces could they have a chance. After receiving the response from Senma College and Divine Bird Palace, the seventh-layer Venerable's confidence was greatly boosted. He led the disciples of Merry Woods and quickly counterattacked. Elder Song and the elders of Divine Bird Palace also burst out the energy in their bodies and attacked with all their strength. Senma College, Divine Bird Palace, and Merry Woods were all super forces. Their disciples were all geniuses. Coupled with a group of powerful elders and a seventh heavenly layer venerable expert, their combined strength was incomparably terrifying. Everyone attacked. Terrifying energy erupted, and the entire Dragon Palace shook violently. Even if Prime Minister Hai used the energy in the Dragon Ball, he still felt very tired in the face of such a terrifying counterattack. Not only that, the seventh layer Venerable joined forces with the older generation and attacked crazily, quickly besieging Prime Minister Hai. "We must kill him, or we will all die today," the seventh layer Venerable roared. His voice shook the sky and spread in all directions. It was related to their lives, so the disciples did not hold back. They attacked crazily and attacked with all their strength. Prime Minister Hai himself was only a seventh layer venerable. With his strength, he could not resist such a big scene. It was only by relying on the energy in the Dragon Ball that it was able to contend against it. However, with his cultivation, he could only use the energy roughly. He could not exert the full power of the energy. This gave everyone a chance. As everyone attacked crazily, Prime Minister Hai became more and more exhausted. He kept retreating, and his face became pale. In the end, he retreated to the two dragon pillars. With his back against them, he resisted with difficulty. Although he was suppressed by everyone, with the support of the energy in the Dragon Ball, he would not be defeated for a while. So, the scene was in a stalemate. However, the more they fought, the more anxious they became, because they were different from Prime Minister Hai. Prime Minister Hai had the support of the Dragon Ball. It could be said that his energy was limitless, but they were different. They were deprived by the Dragon Ball, and the spiritual energy in their bodies was disappearing at all times. The longer they delayed, the weaker they became, and the Dragon Ball would become stronger after absorbing their spiritual energy. So, this was a dead end for them. Destroy the dragon pillars. We can't be lenient. The seventh layer, Venerable roared. Immediately, everyone's attacks changed. They attacked the dragon pillar behind Prime Minister Hai, although they did not know what the dragon pillar was used for, since it was connected to the Dragon Ball. It had to be destroyed. Rumble. Everyone's attacks were powerful, causing the sturdy dragon pillar to shake nonstop. Cracks appeared on the last dragon pillar. Seeing this, Prime Minister Hai's expression changed. Then he shouted, "Black Turtle General, come out!" Immediately, a black hole appeared on the other dragon pillar. Then, a huge black shadow appeared and quickly grew. Boom. In the end, the black shadow landed on the ground, causing the entire dragon palace to shake again. In front of everyone, a mountain-sized sea demon appeared. Accompanying it was a wave of demonic chi. Looking at the sea demon, everyone's pupils shrank. Fear rose from the bottom of their hearts. Chapter 1089. The sea demon's body was as large as a mountain, and a terrifying demonic aura spread in all directions. It roared angrily like thunder, shaking the heavens and earth. Everyone looked up in horror and found that it was a black tortoise. It was the one that had escaped after being injured by Zhao Shui. However, at this moment, the injuries on its body had already healed, and it seemed to be stronger than before. This was too shocking. It should be known that those injuries could not be healed in such a short period of time. However, this sea demon was standing in front of everyone as good as new. Could it be because of the dragon pillar? Lin Xian frowned because he knew that this giant black tortoise came out of the dragon pillar. There must be some relationship between the two. Under the command of Prime Minister Hai, the giant black tortoise tribe expert roared and launched a fierce attack on the crowd. However, Zhao Shui snorted coldly. Her body was like a ray of light as she dashed forward. "Bastard, you're courting death." She raised her hand and threw a series of palm shadows at the black tortoise tribe expert. However, the invitation this time was beyond her expectations. The black tortoise tribe expert was nourished by the energy of the dragon pearl and became extremely powerful. However, Zhao Shui was affected by the dragon pearl and lost her spiritual power. Therefore, Zhao Shui was at a disadvantage in the battle. With the black tortoise tribe expert joining the battle, Prime Minister Hai, who was at a disadvantage, recovered and launched a fierce attack. "No, we can't hold on for long. Let's retreat." Elder Song's face changed because he found that there was not much spiritual power left in his body. If this continued, they would be the unlucky ones to lose. The elders of the Divine Bird Palace nodded quickly because they were also in a bad situation. Therefore, under the leadership of the elders, the disciples retreated and temporarily left the Dragon Palace. Once they left the Dragon Palace, the experts of the three major sects cast a defensive light screen. Then they sat cross-legged on the ground and quickly recovered their spiritual power. They had no choice. They had used too much spiritual power and had to recuperate. Lin Xian also sat cross-legged and quickly activated the long life secret art to recover his spiritual power. At the same time, he kept thinking about how to break this stalemate. In Dragon Palace, the strong cultivator of the Xian turtle clan entered the dragon pillar again. Prime Minister Hai's face was gloomy. He quickly used the energy of the dragon pearl to restore one of the dragon pillars. Although the humans were temporarily repelled this time, he didn't dare to be careless at all because just a moment ago, those despicable humans had almost shattered one of the dragon pillars. If the dragon pillar were to shatter, then it would be troublesome. Therefore, he did not dare to be the slightest bit careless and quickly used the energy inside the Dragon Ball to repair it. Outside the Dragon Palace, everyone was recovering quickly. Zhao Shui was dressed in white and looked like a fairy. She said coldly, "When we attack again, I will do my best to hold back the black tortoise. As for the rest, it's all up to you. You must break that dragon pillar. Don't worry, we'll do our best as well." The 7th-level venerated realm expert from Merry Woods said in a deep voice. Elder Song and the other elders quickly nodded their heads. They decided that this time they had to give it their all and break the dragon pillar. This time, everyone had suffered heavy losses. Therefore, they rested for 3 days. During these 3 days, everyone was recovering here. Lin Xian was an exception. Because he had already cut off the power of the Dragon Ball, he didn't consume much spiritual power. Therefore, while everyone was resting, he quickly took out the 1,000-beast cauldron and some supreme-grade spiritual herbs and began to refine pills. The Crimson Dragon set up a layer of array around Lin Xian. Then it lay on the ground and took out some supreme spiritual herbs and began to consume them. This scene immediately attracted the attention of the crowd. Many people drooled when they saw the supreme-grade spirit herb, especially those from Divine Bird Palace. Their faces were gloomy, and they were going crazy. Damn it, these spiritual herbs were originally ours. It's all because of this despicable brat. I can't stand it. How dare he refine pills in front of all of us? Despicable. Humph. He definitely won't succeed. Damn it, that snake swallowed it directly. What a waste. I really want to catch him and eat snake soup. A group of disciples from Divine Bird Palace gritted their teeth in anger. Lin Xian ignored them. He quickly entered the state of mind and began to refine pills. Gradually, the older generation figures were jolted awake. Even the 7th-level venerated realm expert revealed an expression of shock. This was because they found that Lin Xian was refining 7th-level pills. He can refine 7th-level pills at such a young age. He's really amazing. Many people were shocked. Soon, he refined a furnace of pills. These pills were refined according to the prescription left by Niwa of Gojoseon. They were all pills that could improve one's cultivation. At this moment, they were perfect for Lin Xian. After putting away the 10,000-beast ding, Lin Xian picked up a pill and quickly consumed it. Then he ran the longevity secret art and absorbed it with all his might. In this way, everyone was recovering their strength while Lin Xian was cultivating. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. In these 3 days, Lin Xian's cultivation had improved a lot and had reached the peak of the 4th-level venerable realm. It seemed shocking, but in fact it was easy to understand. The spiritual herbs in Lin Xian's hands were extremely precious. They were all extinct spiritual herbs and were very old. They could be said to be rare treasures, not to mention refining them into pills. Just consuming them directly could improve a warrior's cultivation by a large margin. Moreover, Lin Xian still had the prescription left behind by the king and the 10,000-beast ding. It could be said that the effects of the pills he refined were amazing. That was why he could improve his cultivation by a large margin in 3 days. Of course, this kind of situation was very rare. If Lin Xian hadn't picked the supreme-grade spiritual herbs, he wouldn't have been able to accomplish such a feat after eating a few more furnaces of pills. I'll probably be able to reach the 5th-level venerable realm. Lin Xian thought in his heart. Of course, if he could obtain the Dragon Ball, it would be even better. If he could improve his cultivation quickly, it wouldn't be a dream for him to break through to the 6th-level venerable realm. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's eyes burned with passion. At this time, most people had recovered. The 7th-level venerable realm from Merry Woods stood up and held the fan in his hand tightly. His eyes were frightening. Zhao Shui also stood up, and her beautiful eyes shone with a deep light. At the same time, Elder Song and the other seniors were also ready. They were full of fighting spirit. This time, they must take down the Dragon Palace. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless figures set off and charged into the Dragon Palace. Dragon King Tsunami, Prime Minister Hai roared and waved his staff. A terrifying energy enveloped the Dragon Palace. A strange and frightening power enveloped everyone. However, with the experience of the previous battle, everyone had a plan to deal with it. In the next moment, they all attacked to resist the energy. Muffled sounds like thunder rang out. It was the sound of energy colliding. Endless waves surged, and the entire Dragon Palace trembled. At the same time, Zhao Shui and the 7th-level venerable attacked. Chapter 1090. Everyone worked together and attacked again. The fan in Merry Woods' 7th-level venerate's hand quickly enlarged and fell down. It was like a phoenix flapping its wings, creating a strong gale that swept downwards. This attack was extremely terrifying. It was as if the one waving it was not a human, but an ancient demonic bird. In the next moment, the entire Dragon Palace was filled with violent heavenly winds. The terrifying heavenly winds enveloped the entire Dragon Palace. Countless people were terrified and activated their defenses to resist. Fortunately, this attack was not directed at them, so they only suffered from the aftershocks. There was no danger to their lives. This was not an ordinary attack. It was an Earth-class martial art, Heavenly Wind Rend. A powerful wind-type martial art, coupled with the 7th-level venerate's half-Earth class artifact, made this attack extremely powerful. It was enough to devour the heavens and split the earth. Fortunately, the Dragon Palace was very special and powerful. If it were any other city, it would have been torn apart. However, even so, the Crystal Dragon Palace was not spared, especially when everyone's target, the 2 dragon pillars, was enveloped by the heavenly winds and cracks appeared on one of them. This time, the cracks were even bigger than before. It was as if the dragon pillar would shatter at any moment. After using this attack, Merry Woods' 7th-level venerate heaved a sigh of relief. Although this attack consumed a lot of his energy, the effect was very obvious. Was this the strength of a 7th-level venerate? How terrifying! This attack was comparable to everyone's combined energy. Many people were shocked because the Dragon Pearl had shattered because of everyone's combined efforts. This time, the 7th-level venerate had created the same effect by himself. In fact, it was even better. This result indeed shocked everyone to the core. Good job, Martial Uncle Zhou, mighty heavenly wind rend. Merry Woods' disciples cheered happily. However, in the next moment, their eyes widened, and they fell into shock again. This was because Zhao Shui had also attacked. Above, spiritual energy fluctuated, and a huge eye appeared. It was like the eye of the heavens. Void Sky Eye. At this moment, Zhao Shui's body emitted a terrifying aura. She was like a god that could see through everything. Everyone felt her gaze, and their hearts beat wildly. It was as if all their secrets were exposed under the sun. There was nowhere to hide. At the same time, the Void Sky Eye also unleashed an attack. It was as if that gaze could see through the mountains, rivers, and starry sky. Those eyes were too terrifying, as if they were looking down on all life. Suddenly, the dragon palace trembled violently, as if it was about to be destroyed under this gaze. Rumble! Under the attack of the void heaven eye, the dragon pillar that had cracks on it completely shattered. Bang! The dragon pillar shattered, collapsing in all directions. What kind of eye technique is this? It's so terrifying. Prime Minister Hai was extremely shocked. He didn't expect a human to have such a terrifying eye technique attack. It was completely out of his imagination. The other half of the crowd was also shocked. Void Sky Eye, the legendary eye technique that disappeared. Mary Wood's 7th layer supreme expert couldn't help but cry out in shock, because the power of this eye technique already surpassed his Earth rank martial art, Heavenly Wind Rend. Moreover, it was not just a little bit stronger. Not only that, but what was even more shocking was that this was a long-lost eye technique. In the crowd, Lin Xian was also shocked when he saw this. This eye technique was simply too powerful. Its attack power shocked even him. One had to know that even when he used the great dragon sword soul with all his strength, it was only SOSO. Of course, this didn't mean that the great dragon sword soul was weak, but Lin Xian was only a 4th layer supreme expert. If Lin Xian was also a 7th layer supreme expert, then with the power of the great dragon sword soul, it wouldn't be a problem to split the dragon palace apart. Ah, you dare to destroy the dragon pillar? You're all going to die. Prime Minister Hai went crazy. He waved his staff and quickly mobilized the energy of the dragon pillar, trying to restore it. However, the crowd didn't give him a chance and quickly attacked. Black Tortoise General, come out. Prime Minister Hai couldn't hold on by himself and hurriedly called for his companions. Buzz! A huge whirlpool appeared on another dragon pillar, and then a huge figure appeared. It was the Black Tortoise expert. As soon as it appeared, it emitted a monstrous demonic aura that swept out in all directions. That aura was much stronger than before. It seemed that the dragon pillar was indeed very strange. The Black Tortoise expert had only been in it for a few days, but his strength had rapidly increased. The current him was far stronger than before. Everyone, be careful. Don't fight it head on. Elder Song quickly reminded from behind. Although his disciples were geniuses, they were too young. With their current strength, it was impossible for them to fight it. They had to work together to fight it. This time, everyone split up. One team, led by Zhao Shui, fought against the Black Tortoise expert. The other team, led by Mary Forest's 7th layer supreme expert, Elder Zhou, attacked the other dragon pillar. They attacked from both sides at the same time. Void Sky Eye. Zhao Shui's figure floated like a fairy and instantly appeared above the Black Tortoise expert. The huge eyeshadow surged and released a dazzling attack. This was an eye technique attack that contained terrifying soul power. Boom! In an instant, this attack bombarded the Black Tortoise expert's body and immediately tore open his tough turtle shell. Although the Black Tortoise expert's strength had increased greatly, the Void Sky Eye was too terrifying and couldn't be judged by common sense. Therefore, the Black Tortoise expert was injured in one move. Roar! An earth-shattering roar resounded in all directions as the Black Tortoise expert went berserk. As a Sea Tribe expert, he was very powerful. This time, with the help of the Dragon Pillar, his strength had increased greatly. He originally thought that this time, he would be able to avenge his humiliation and kill the detestable human in front of him. However, he didn't expect that he would be injured again. How could he not go crazy? He waved his huge claws and pounced forward. Sika! The entire space collapsed and endless waves surged. The space in front of him was instantly emptied. On the other hand, Zhao Shui executed her movement technique and quickly dodged this attack. At this moment, the seventh layer supreme expert in the distance also seized the opportunity to use an Earth-class technique and ruthlessly bombarded the black tortoise expert, sending him flying. The mountain-like body flew out from the bottom of the sea and destroyed countless buildings along the way. Kill. Elder Song led countless disciples and quickly attacked. They could only take advantage of this opportunity to attack the opponent. Rumble. In an instant, countless attacks landed and enveloped the black tortoise. Although the black tortoise's defense was strong, it couldn't withstand so many attacks and the attacks of two seventh-layer supremacies. Therefore, it didn't take long for it to become thin and heavily injured. Seeing this scene, Prime Minister Hai's face was extremely gloomy. He didn't expect that the extremely tough black tortoise expert couldn't stop these detestable humans. Damn it! All of you deserve to die. Prime Minister Hai looked at everyone with a terrifying light in his eyes. Chapter 1091. The situation in the Dragon Palace was extremely chaotic. The Xian Turtle Tribe powerhouses were being beaten back, and Hai Xiang was also getting weaker and weaker. In any case, the situation was very unfavorable for the sea demons. Damn it! All of you have to die. Hai Xiang looked at the people around him with a ferocious expression. Dragon King Tsunami. In the next moment, he waved the staff in his hand with all his might and communicated with the Dragon Ball above him. A blue light surged out and swept out in all directions. Everyone who was enveloped by the light felt their bodies tremble as the spiritual power in their bodies quickly disappeared. However, it was not the first time they had seen this move, so they all had a plan to deal with it. In an instant, they all took various measures to resist with all their might. Among them, Marywood's Seventh Heaven Supremacy, Zhao Shui, Elder Song, and the other elders were able to quickly control it, while the other disciples were resisting with all their might. As for the Xian Turtle Tribe powerhouse, because he was a sea demon, he was not affected much. However, there was another person who was not affected at all, and that was Lin Xian. When the other party used the Dragon King Tsunami, he had already activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul in his body and quickly cut off all connections around him. In other words, the other party's move did not affect him at all. However, Lin Xian looked ahead and frowned slightly. This was because he knew that the Dragon King Tsunami would not have much of an effect. At most, it would only delay the attacks of the crowd. Given the other party's experience, he should have known. However, the other party had still used all his strength to execute this move, which was indeed unbelievable. Until now, Lin Xian had been among the many disciples fighting against the Xian Turtle Tribe powerhouse. Speaking of which, he had not been in the limelight. So many people had forgotten about his existence. This was because there were too many powerhouses present. Regardless of whether it was the Seventh Heaven Supremacy or Zhao Shui, they were extremely powerful and eye-catching. As for Lin Xian, he seemed to be just a small disciple. In such a grand scene, he could not do anything at all. Of course, this was the situation in the eyes of outsiders. In fact, Lin Xian had used the 10,000 Beast Ding to control a sea demon and obtain the situation of the entire Dragon Palace. This dragon pearl was actually a demon core left behind by a flood dragon of the same level. It could be said that it contained the essence of a king. However, the Jiao Dragon King had cultivated an evil technique when he was alive, so his demon core also contained an evil aura. Not only that, Lin Xian also knew that the Flood Dragon King had a treasure when he was alive, the Water Spirit Pearl. He had absorbed quite a bit of the Water Spirit Pearl, and the rest was sealed in a palace with a powerful seal. He had learned all of this from a sea demon. Lin Xian was still digesting the information when a commotion broke out in front of him. That was because after Prime Minister Hai used the Dragon King tsunami, he did not attack again. Instead, he turned into a ray of light and fled. This was because he could see that with his strength and cultivation, even if he had the Dragon Ball, he could only fight to a draw with everyone for the time being. It was simply impossible for them to win. Moreover, he was afraid that he would be in danger if he dragged this out any longer. So he fled. Because in his opinion, even if he left, Lin Xian and the others would not be able to fight against the Dragon Balls. You want to leave? It's not that easy. Mary Forrest's seventh heaven supremacy roared and unleashed a tornado. Zhao Shui also controlled the void, eye to lock on a Prime Minister Hai. Bam! Their attacks landed on Prime Minister Hai's body and sent him flying. Fresh blood flowed, and the staff in his hand fell out of his hand. Seeing the staff, Zhao Shui and the seventh heaven supremacy were stunned for a moment and did not pay much attention to it. At that moment, Lin Xian moved. He waved his sleeve and released the little white monkey. From the information he had obtained, he knew that the staff was very important because it was a treasure that could communicate with the Dragon Ball. Whoosh! A white light flashed, and the little white monkey appeared. It stretched out its furry paws and grabbed the staff, hugging it in its arms. Seeing this scene, Zhao Shui and the seventh heaven supremacy were stunned again because they did not notice when the little monkey had arrived. However, Prime Minister Hai's expression changed drastically, because this magic staff was his lifeblood. Bastard, you're courting death, he roared angrily and reached out to grab the little white monkey. The little white monkey's eyes were filled with disdain. Then it made a face and disappeared into the air. The snow-white monkey arrived in front of Prime Minister Hai. Its furry little paw slapped the other party's face, knocking him unconscious. Bam! Prime Minister Hai saw stars and felt dizzy. The seventh-level heavenly venerate snorted coldly, raised his hand, and sent out a half-moon wind blade that split Prime Minister Hai apart. Zhao Shui frowned slightly. She did not know why, but when she saw the little white monkey, she felt a sense of familiarity. On the other hand, the little white monkey did not return to Lin Xian's side after snatching the staff. Instead, it went to the Dragon Ball. It waved the staff in its hand excitedly. Suddenly, the surrounding blue light disappeared, and the energy of the Dragon King's tsunami stopped. Everyone felt the spiritual power in their body recover and heaved a sigh of relief. Then, they all looked ahead in shock. It stopped. It actually stopped. That monkey looks familiar. Nonsense, that's Lin Xian's monkey, someone said. What, Lin Xian? Everyone started discussing. At this moment, the Xian Turtle Tribe elite could not hold on anymore. Without Prime Minister Hai, he did not want to fight anymore. So his figure flashed, and he escaped. Everyone did not chase after him. Instead, they stared at the Dragon Ball in front of them. Of course, most of them stared at the little white monkey, because it was too strange. It could actually stop the Dragon King tsunami. This was too shocking. Not only that, but even more people turned to look at Lin Xian. Even Elder Song and the rest looked at Lin Xian strangely, because this scene was not something they had expected. Woochie woochie, the little white monkey hugged the staff and jumped around happily. Its big eyes narrowed into crescents. Damn, the little guy actually snatched the staff. The Crimson Dragon was overjoyed. That's awesome. He did not want the Dragon Ball, but he had been eyeing the 2 dragon pillars for a long time. Those were good things. At this moment, the people of the Divine Bird Palace shouted coldly, Lin Xian, hurry up and tell your monkey to put down the staff. Yes, hand over the staff. This thing doesn't belong to you. Pumph! In this old man's opinion, you don't deserve to have it. You, a little warrior, dare to occupy such a treasure? You're courting death. Young man, there are some things you can't take. The group of people from the Divine Bird Palace roared. Humph! In the face of so many cold shouts, Lin Xian snorted coldly. Suddenly, the little white monkey waved its staff and communicated with the Dragon Ball. It formed a blue light that enveloped the people of the Divine Bird Palace. Chapter 1092. Kid, hand over the staff if you know what's good for you. Yes, this is not something you can have. The people of Divine Bird Palace stared at Lin Xian with unfriendly expressions. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Suddenly, the snow-white monkey in front of him waved the staff and communicated with the Dragon Ball above, forming a blue light that enveloped the people of Divine Bird Palace. In an instant, the disciples of Divine Bird Palace were all enveloped by the light. The next moment, the spiritual energy in their bodies was drained again. Seeing this scene, the people of Divine Bird Palace trembled and quickly shut up, not daring to speak again, because they did not expect that the snow-white monkey not only got the staff but also could control the Dragon Ball. This was too strange. The others were also shocked. This scene was completely beyond their imagination. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled into a smile as he strode forward. The Crimson Dragon also howled excitedly and followed beside him. He quickly came to the snow-white monkey's side and said excitedly, "Little guy, quickly cast a spell on these 2 dragon pillars and turn them into a spiritual spring." The Crimson Dragon was a wily old fox, so he saw the key to the problem at a glance. To be able to receive the Dragon Ball, these 2 dragon pillars were definitely not simple. Moreover, the powerhouse of the Xian Turtle clan was inside these dragon pillars. In the end, not only was his injury healed, but his strength also increased greatly. Therefore, this showed that these 2 dragon pillars were definitely not simple. The snow-white monkey nodded happily, then waved the staff in his hand and cast a spell on the 2 dragon pillars. Soon, the 2 dragon pillars melted and turned into a spiritual spring. A very rich spiritual energy condensed and emitted from the bottom of the sea. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes, then took a step forward and entered the spiritual spring. As soon as he entered, he could not help but snort softly. All the pores on his body opened, greedily absorbing the spiritual energy inside. The Crimson Dragon guessed correctly. The spiritual spring formed by these 2 dragon pillars contained pure energy. At this moment, Lin Xian chose to absorb it into his body, forming a warm current that washed over his body. The Crimson Dragon also howled and swam around in the spiritual spring. Such rich spiritual energy. Seeing this scene, the disciples of the Divine Bird Palace finally couldn't bear it anymore. They rushed forward and dived into the spirit spring. However, what followed was a series of screams. The disciples who jumped into the spirit spring were enveloped by an evil force. They were instantly turned into blood water and evaporated. Seeing this scene, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, and their expressions became very frightened. They had never expected such an outcome. Evil Chi. It's the evil Chi inside the Dragon Balls. An elder from Merry Woods shook his head. Although the spirit spring is good, it contains a large amount of evil Chi. If one's cultivation is not enough and forcefully absorbs it, I'm afraid one will instantly turn into a pool of blood. Hearing this explanation, everyone's face changed. Looking at the spirit spring in front of them, their eyes were filled with endless envy and disappointment. Although the spirit spring was good, it seemed that they couldn't enjoy it at all. But the people of the Divine Bird Palace didn't believe it. They all shouted, "Impossible! That's right. If there was evil Chi, how could that kid be fine? Conspiracy. This must be his conspiracy. Yes, let's drag that brat out and avenge our disciple." An elder of the Divine Bird Palace also roared angrily. However, the elder of Merry Woods shook his head. This is not a conspiracy. Warriors below the seventh sky of the venerable realm can't enter at all, but that young man can enter because of that staff. What? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They all stared at the snow-white monkey, or to be exact, the staff in his hand, especially the people of the Divine Bird Palace. They all stared ahead with greedy eyes, because the staff was too important. Just getting the staff was equivalent to getting the Spirit Spring. With the Spirit Spring, their cultivation would be able to increase. Kid, hurry up and hand over the staff. The elder of the Divine Bird Palace sneered, and stretched out a palm of light to grab the snow-white monkey. He was very arrogant. This palm completely covered the entire Spirit Spring, including Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian didn't move. It was as if he didn't see it. The snow-white monkey waved the staff in his hand angrily. Suddenly, the Dragon Ball above shot out a blue light. Like lightning, it instantly tore the palm of light apart and penetrated the elder of the Divine Bird Palace. Seeing this scene, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, because the power of the Dragon Ball was too strong. The elder of the Divine Bird Palace was a sixth sky of the venerable realm. It was terrifying that he was penetrated in an instant. The people of the Divine Bird Palace were so scared that their faces turned green. They quickly retreated and didn't dare to go forward. Although they were very envious and greedy, no one dared to risk their lives at this moment. The others were also shocked. Everyone looked at the snow-white monkey with a look of fear, and Zhao Shui was expressionless. She quickly walked up. The seventh sky of the Merry Woods pondered for a moment, then also walked up. To be honest, Lin Xian's appearance surprised him. He only thought of Zhao Shui as a strong opponent and didn't care about anyone else. But now, he didn't expect that a young man with a fourth sky of the venerable realm cultivation could shock everyone. Lin Gongzi, what do you plan to do with the Dragon Ball? Zhao Shui asked. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Chapter 1093. Humph. He dares to demand an exorbitant price in front of 2 seventh-level venerables. This guy is dead meat. That's right. He wants to take it all for himself? He doesn't even know who he is. Even if we agree, I'm afraid the 2 seventh-level venerables will not agree. The people from the Divine Bird Palace sneered, and were ready to see Lin Xian make a fool of himself. However, in the next moment, they were stunned, and their expressions turned ugly. This was because Zhao Shui nodded quickly without thinking. Okay, I won't fight with you for the Spirit Fountain. Seeing Zhao Shui nod, the seventh-level venerables beside her also nodded. The Spirit Fountain was good and useful to them. However, compared to the Dragon Ball, it was not worth mentioning. Therefore, their target was the Dragon Ball, and they gave up on the Spirit Fountain. Seeing Zhao Shui and the seventh-level venerables give up on the Spirit Fountain, everyone gasped. This was because they did not expect the 2 seventh-level venerables to give up on the treasure in front of them so decisively. Lin Xian smiled with satisfaction, and at the same time, he heaved a sigh of relief. He made the right bet. In front of the Dragon Ball, the Spirit Fountain was nothing. This was not to say that the Spirit Fountain was not good, but compared to the Dragon Ball, the Spirit Fountain was not as good. However, the Spirit Fountain was very important to Lin Xian. This was because it could greatly increase Lin Xian's cultivation strength in a short period of time. Lin Xian smiled and said, As for the Dragon Ball above, I won't take it. Hearing Lin Xian's words, Zhao Shui and the seventh-level venerables from Merry Woods heaved a sigh of relief. The surrounding people were also stunned. They did not expect Lin Xian to give up on the Dragon Ball so decisively. In fact, Lin Xian had his own considerations. This was because the Crimson Dragon had made it clear that there was still some evil energy in the Dragon Ball. Therefore, he would not take it. This evil energy would not only affect the Crimson Dragon, but Lin Xian felt that it could also affect him. Therefore, for the future development of his martial arts, Lin Xian decided to give it up. Moreover, the Dragon Clan was too demonic and eye-catching. It was not something the spirit fountain under his feet could compare to. This was a true king artifact, something left behind by a king artifact. There was not a single person present who did not want to obtain it. Even a 7th-level sovereign would go crazy after seeing this item. With his current strength, he was only a 4th-layer heavenly venerate. Compared to a 7th-layer heavenly venerate, he was indeed much weaker. Even if he could use the staff to snatch the dragon orb, it was still extremely dangerous for him, because once he left the Dragon Palace, he would be hunted down by countless venerables. He did not want to put himself in such a dangerous situation. Therefore, he would not take the Dragon Ball. Another point was that Lin Xian found that the energy in it was too high level. With his current cultivation, he could not absorb it at all. Even if he got it, it would be useless to him. It was not as practical as the Spirit Fountain. Based on the above 3 points, Lin Xian decisively gave up on the Dragon Ball and chose the Spirit Fountain. Moreover, Lin Xian also understood that the Dragon Ball was very difficult to obtain. Even if he had the magic staff, it would not be easy to obtain the Dragon Ball. Therefore, he threw this hot potato out. However, he would not give it away for nothing. Hearing Lin Xian's decision, the young disciples were in an uproar. They did not expect Lin Xian to give up such a good opportunity. However, the older generation was silent, especially Elder Song and the others. They looked at Lin Xian and kept nodding, because if they were to choose, they would also give up the Dragon Ball. At such a young age, he knows how to prioritize and how to give up. This young man is amazing. Yes, with his aptitude, if he grows up, his future will be limitless. The few elders of the Immortal Martial Academy nodded their heads unceasingly. At this time, Lin Xian spoke again. Of course, I don't want the Dragon Ball, but it does not mean that you can get it. With your strength, you should be able to see that the Dragon Ball was left behind by a king. It will be very difficult to completely subdue it. However, I can use the magic staff in my hand to help you. In this Dragon Palace, there is a water spirit pearl. Whoever can help me find it and give it to me, I will use the magic staff to help you obtain the Dragon Ball. Lin Xian gave his final condition. What? When these words came out, everyone was shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to dare to talk about conditions. Water spirit pearl? What is that? Are there other treasures in the Dragon Palace? It should be. It seems that it is not worse than the Spirit Fountain. Damn it. How does he know about the Water Spirit Pearl? This kid is too greedy. Not only did he get the Spirit Fountain, he also wants other treasures. Damn it. This is the dissatisfaction of the people of the Divine Bird Palace. Another elder of the Divine Bird Palace also sneered. Just wait and see. He is dead. He dares to talk about conditions with a 7th-level venerable. He really doesn't know how to write the word death. The crowd discussed animatedly. They all felt that Lin Xian was too audacious and greedy. At the same time, they were very curious about the water spirit pearl that Lin Xian mentioned, especially the people of the Divine Bird Palace. Their eyes were once again burning with greed. Damn it. We must find out the whereabouts of the water spirit pearl. Don't worry. Wait for an opportunity. I don't believe that this kid won't tell us. A group of people whispered, and all of them had their eyes on the water spirit pearl. In fact, this was normal. The most precious treasure in this place was the Dragon Ball. However, with Zhao Shui and the 7th-level venerable in Merry Woods, they had no chance at all. Next was Lin Xian's Spirit Fountain. However, they did not dare to take it because the little white monkey controlled the magic staff. Therefore, this mysterious water spirit pearl became everyone's target. Zhao Shui pondered for a moment, and then nodded. Okay, it's settled. She seemed determined to get the Dragon Ball. The seventh-level venerable from Mary Woods looked gloomy and was dissatisfied. Lin Xian's monopolization of the spirit fountain had already made him unhappy. He did not expect that Lin Xian would dare to talk about conditions with him. How bold, because the effect of the spirit fountain was very rich. Even he was a little tempted. Now, it was completely monopolized by Lin Xian. This was not enough. Lin Xian even wanted to use the water spirit pearl to exchange for the Dragon Ball. This was too much. The disciples of Mary Woods also looked gloomy. They stared at Lin Xian with unfriendly expressions. At this time, the people of the Divine Bird Palace could not bear it anymore. A few of the older generation jumped out and said coldly, "Kid, how dare you talk about conditions with us? I think you're tired of living." "That's right. You want other treasures? Do you really think that no one can stop you? Who do you think you are? You want to help us get the Spirit Pearl. We want to get the Spirit Pearl, and we don't need your help." A group of elders of the Divine Bird Palace looked angry and disdainful. "Oh, you don't need my help? That's good. The Dragon Ball is there. If you want to go, go. I won't stop you." Lin Xian shrugged and said coldly. Chapter 1094. You won't intercept it? Are you telling the truth? Hearing this, the elders of the Divine Bird Palace looked excited. Of course, this Dragon Ball is an ownerless object. Whoever wants to take it can do it. I won't interfere. Humph, at least you know what's good for you. The elders of the Divine Bird Palace snorted, then quickly stepped forward, rubbing their fists and preparing to take the Dragon Ball. They couldn't wait any longer. Originally, they were a little afraid of the snow-white monkey and the staff in its hand because it could control the Dragon Ball. But now, it said that it wouldn't interfere with them, which made them very happy. "I'll do it." An elder of the Divine Bird Palace stepped forward. This elder's hair was gray, and his cultivation had reached the sixth heaven of the venerable realm. He looked at the Dragon Ball in front of him, his heart throbbing. Finally, he made a move. The surrounding disciples of the Divine Bird Palace also cheered. "It's great that the seventh elder is here." Yes, the seventh elder is a powerhouse of the venerable realm. He can definitely take the Dragon Ball. When the seventh elder gets the Dragon Ball, I want to see that kid's expression. I'm afraid he'll cry his eyes out. Such a good treasure disappearing in front of his eyes. Anyone would feel bad. He deserves it. I can't wait to see his expression. A group of disciples of the Divine Bird Palace sneered. The people of Senma College and Mary Forest were also whispering, "Isn't Lin Xian a little too arrogant? The Dragon Ball is an ownerless object. Without control, no matter how strong it is, it won't be able to exert much power. Not necessarily. After all, it's something left by a king. Who knows what the consequences will be? Yes, let's wait and see." Lin Xian's lips curled into a cold smile when he heard the crowd's discussion. He wanted to see who would be crying later. The seventh elder of the Divine Bird Palace stepped forward, and a powerful spiritual power burst out from his body. Behind him, the shadow of a three-headed bird appeared. Then the shadow cried out, and its voice resounded through the sky. Moreover, the seventh elder stretched out his palm, forming a giant purple claw in the air, and grabbed at the Dragon Ball. The giant purple claw was completely formed by lightning. It was extremely terrifying, and cracks even appeared on the empty palace. Soon, the giant claw enveloped the Dragon Ball. Seeing this scene, everyone's hearts were in their throats. Most of the people from Divine Bird Palace stared at the little white monkey to prevent it from making a move. The snow-white little monkey mumbled a few times and cast a disdainful look at him. It hugged the magic staff to its chest and remained motionless. Seeing that the little white monkey didn't attack, the people of Divine Bird Palace were obviously relieved. The seventh elder secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he released another surge of energy, causing the giant purple claw above to shine even brighter. The next moment, he grabbed the Dragon Ball. What? Got him? This scene stunned the surrounding people. They didn't expect the Dragon Balls to be caught so easily. Even Marywood's 7th level Venerable and Zhao Shui frowned. The people of the Divine Bird Palace laughed crazily. Ha ha ha! I finally got the Dragon Balls. Great. This is something left behind by a king. It will be of great help to us. Yes, the heavens are really helping our divine bird technique. We will definitely carry it forward. Maybe we can even advance to the House of Kings. The people of Divine Bird Palace were full of expectations and were very arrogant. The 7th Elder was also excited. He didn't expect to catch the Dragon Balls so easily. He shook his arm and wanted to take the Dragon Balls back. But the next moment, the joy on his face disappeared and was replaced by a touch of fear. No, the 7th Elder let out a scream. His expression was very frightened, as if he had encountered something terrible. What happened? Hearing the scream, everyone was shocked and looked over. They saw that the giant claw formed by lightning in the sky was quickly shrinking and then disappearing. As for the 7th Elder's arm, it quickly shriveled and turned into a pile of white bones. Moreover, the corrosion continued, and soon white bones appeared on his shoulder. No, the 7th Elder retreated in horror, but he still couldn't change the situation. Finally, he gritted his teeth and a touch of determination appeared in his eyes. He quickly cut off his entire arm. His body didn't continue to corrode until his arm fell to the ground. After doing all this, the 7th Elder of Divine Bird Palace gasped for breath with a face full of fear. He was so close to becoming a pile of bones. Thinking of this, fear rose in his heart. At the same time, his face became ferocious, because without his right arm, his combat power would be greatly reduced. The disciples of Divine Bird Palace were stunned, and their expressions were full of panic. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. How could the 7th Elder be injured? Yes, that's a level 6 powerhouse. How could he be injured? No, I don't believe it. This must be a dream. The disciples of Divine Bird Palace went crazy and couldn't believe it. Meanwhile, the surrounding people started to discuss among themselves. It seems that the Dragon Balls are not so easy to get. Even a level 6 Venerable couldn't get it and was almost killed. This Dragon Balls is really terrifying. It's indeed something left by a king. It's really extraordinary, although no one is controlling it. Its instinctive counterattack is not something a level 6 Venerable can resist. Yes, I guess only a level 7 Venerable might have a chance. The disciples of Mary Woods whispered. The disciples of Senma College sneered. They didn't have a good impression of Divine Bird Palace Geo. Before, the two sides almost had a conflict, so they were naturally happy to see this scene. Humph, don't talk big if you don't have the strength. You said that it would be easy to get the Dragon Balls, but in the end, you were slapped in the face. Not only did you not get slapped in the face, but you also lost an arm and almost lost your life. This is a big loss of face. They all deserved it. Junior Brother Lin had warned them before, but they didn't listen and thought that Junior Brother Lin was harboring evil intentions. Now they know. It's too late. Yes, Junior Brother Lin was obviously kind and wanted to help them get the Dragon Balls, but they didn't believe him. If you have the ability, don't let Junior Brother Lin help you for the rest of your life. The disciples of Senmu College mocked and ridiculed Elder Song, and the others were silent. After all, Lin Xian was a genius disciple of their college, so in their hearts they were still biased towards Lin Xian. Hearing these discussions, the other warriors fell silent and looked at Lin Xian with uncertain expressions. Previously, they thought that Lin Xian was too greedy and wanted to take all the treasures. It was too abominable. But now, It seemed that he really had the qualifications because the Dragon Balls were too terrifying. It wasn't something that an ordinary person could get. Perhaps even a level 7 venerable wouldn't have full confidence. Lin Xian was different. He had a staff in his hand and could communicate with the Dragon Balls. It might not play a key role. Chapter 1095. Now, the way everyone looked at Lin Xian had changed. No one thought that he was asking for too much because he was indeed the key to obtaining the Dragon Ball. Zhao Shui was expressionless because she had already agreed to Lin Xian's conditions. The 7th level venerable from Marywood's gasped. Previously, he was dissatisfied and thought that Lin Xian had gone too far, completely disregarding him. Unfortunately, his view had changed. Lin Xian was too important. Without Lin Xian, there was no way he could obtain the Dragon Ball. Fortunately, although he was dissatisfied before, he did not directly express it to Lin Xian. Otherwise, it would be difficult now. Without any hesitation, the 7th level venerable quickly nodded. Okay, I agree to your conditions. Hearing this, Lin Xian smiled with satisfaction because he had already guessed this result. The Dragon Ball's terror was beyond everyone's imagination. It was laughable that those people from Divine Bird Palace had overestimated themselves and wanted to obtain it alone. As a result, they almost lost another elder. All of this was within his expectations. The 2 7th level venerables agreed to Lin Xian's conditions and began to lead people to search for the legendary water spirit pearl. Lin Xian sat cross-legged in the spirit spring, quickly absorbing the energy inside, cleansing and improving his body, and increasing his spiritual power. Not only that, he also took out the elixirs that he had refined before and began to swallow them. Now, he could see that this remote heaven-secret realm was definitely a treasure trove. There were treasures everywhere, but they could only be obtained with great strength. Therefore, as long as there was a chance, Lin Xian would not hesitate to increase his strength. More and more people began to search around. In the end, even the people from Senma College left. This was because the Dragon Ball was not the only treasure in the Dragon Palace. There were many other treasures in the other palaces, and these treasures were very tempting. Seeing that the people from Senma College and Marywoods had left, the people from Divine Bird Palace hid in the dark and quickly discussed. Elder, now that those people have left, should we take action and capture this kid? As long as we control this kid and make him activate the staff to help us seize the Dragon Balls, we might have a good chance. Hearing this, the elders of Divine Bird Palace pondered. Although Lin Xian could now control the Dragon Balls, after all, they had more people. If they went all out, they might be able to take down this kid. As for Lin Xian, who was far away in the Spirit Spring, he sneered. Through his powerful soul force, he already knew what these people were talking about. Indeed, I can only control a portion of the Dragon Orb's power. I can't unleash its full power. However, killing a few 6th Heaven Venerables is still a piece of cake. It sounded like he was talking to himself, but it sounded more like a warning. In the distance, the elders of the Divine Bird Palace trembled when they heard this. The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace were also shocked, as if they had seen a ghost. They didn't think that even though they were so far away, the other party could still hear their conversation. It was really terrifying. Forget it. This kid is too strange. Let's ignore him for now and look for other treasures. This dragon palace was left behind by a king. There are many treasures inside. We must get the other treasures. One of the elders said coldly. Then the other elders nodded in agreement and quickly left with the people of Divine Bird Palace. Seeing that those people had left, Lin Xian snorted coldly. He raised his hand and set up a formation that covered the entire spirit spring. Then he slowly closed his eyes and fell into cultivation. As he continued to absorb the spiritual power in the spirit spring, his cultivation increased rapidly. Half a day later, his cultivation had reached the peak of the fourth heaven venerable realm. At this moment, the spiritual power in the spirit spring was only half consumed. He still had a lot of elixirs in his hand. If he went all out, he should be able to break through to the fifth heaven venerable realm. Let's give it a try. Lin Xian made up his mind and began to break through to the fifth heaven venerable realm. Just as Lin Xian was breaking through to the next realm, the seventh heaven venerables of Mary Woods, Zhao Shui, and the others were also searching quickly. However, there were many buildings in the Dragon Palace. Although some were destroyed in the battle, there were still many buildings standing. Therefore, it was not easy to find a small water spirit pearl. Therefore, other than the seventh heaven venerables of Mary Woods and Zhao Shui, who were searching for the water spirit pearl, the other warriors were frantically collecting other treasures. However, although Lin Xian was in seclusion to break through, the little white monkey was not idle. He took out the leader's small bowl again and began to collect other treasures. Because he was very secretive and there were too many buildings around, no one noticed him at all. The little white monkey did not take action. Once he took action, he took out some precious items. Just one item was comparable to 7 or 8 items in the hands of the other warriors. Therefore, Lin Xian did not lose out at all. In fact, he made a big profit. Soon, a day had passed. With the spirit spring and elixirs, Lin Xian successfully broke through to the fifth heaven venerable realm. He felt the spiritual power in his body increase. Lin Xian was delighted. I finally broke through. After reaching the fifth heaven venerable realm, he could be considered a small expert. Moreover, not only did his cultivation increase, reaching the fifth heaven venerable realm also improved his great dragon sword soul. In the past, he could not fight against a sixth heaven venerable realm expert at all. However, there was no problem now. The improvement of the great dragon sword soul had increased his combat strength by several times. However, this was not the end. He planned to improve the great dragon sword soul because his martial soul was different from others. Others' martial souls were condensed by themselves and then slowly improved through exploration. However, Lin Xian was different. His sword soul was the strongest sword soul in the world. It had existed for a long time. However, it entered his body in the end and became his sword soul. Lin Xian did not need to improve the sword soul at all. All he needed to do was awaken the great dragon sword soul. This process was much easier than improving the martial soul. Therefore, Lin Xian planned to consume the purple spirit pill and enter an ethereal state to activate and improve the great dragon sword soul. If he could improve the great dragon sword soul to the sixth heaven venerable realm, his strength would increase greatly. At that time, it would not be impossible for him to fight against a seventh heaven venerable realm expert. Thinking of this, Lin Xian felt a burst of excitement. Therefore, the great dragon sword soul was the foundation of his combat strength. The improvement of the great dragon sword soul was very important to him. After instructing the Snow White Monkey and the Crimson Dragon, Lin Xian took out a purple spirit pill and swallowed it. He began to improve the great dragon sword soul. In the blink of an eye, another 2 days had passed. During this period, Lin Xian swallowed a few more purple spirit pills. He poured all the energy in the spirit spring into the great dragon sword soul in an attempt to activate and improve it. With the support of all this energy, his sword soul finally recovered a little. A low dragon roar came out of Lin Xian's body. This roar was very low, but it carried a sense of pressure. Moreover, it also contained the sound of a sword. It was very strange. Chapter 1096. The warriors nearby were shocked because the sound made the blood in their bodies churn. Some of the weaker disciples even fell to the ground from the shock. What's going on? What a terrifying aura. What did that kid do? Why is he emitting such a terrifying aura? Many people looked ahead in horror. Lin Xian stood up from the spiritual spring. At this moment, his figure was tall and straight, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. He was like a peerless divine sword that was unstoppable. Around him, there were terrifying sword chi surrounding him, making him look like a celestial being. Is this the power of the great dragon sword soul? It's so terrifying. Lin Xian felt the surging aura of the great dragon sword soul in his body and felt a burst of excitement. Now, he could kill a level 4 supremacy with a casual attack. Not only that, he was now completely capable of fighting against a level 6 supremacy. If he used the great dragon sword soul and went all out, he could even fight against a level 7 supremacy. Moreover, what made him happy was that the improvement of the great dragon sword soul was not only reflected in its combat strength. His soul had also been nourished. Now, his soul had broken through the shackles of a level 6 alchemist and reached the level of a level 7 alchemist. Therefore, Lin Xian had now become a true level 7 alchemist. One had to know that he was not even 20 years old. It was unprecedented for him to become a level 7 alchemist at this age. This was because a peerless genius like Shen Tianyu also became a level 7 alchemist when he was around 30 years old. However, Lin Xian had shortened the process by a full 10 years. If this news were to spread, it would probably scare everyone to death. The power of the great dragon sword soul was beyond everyone's expectations. When the crowd faced Lin Xian, they felt as if they were facing a level 7 supremacy. This feeling was so strange that it shocked the surrounding warriors. In fact, this was very normal. The great dragon sword soul was an offensive sword soul between heaven and earth. Its power was definitely not something these people could imagine. Moreover, as Lin Xian's cultivation increased, the recovery of the great dragon sword soul also increased rapidly. Its power increased exponentially with each recovery. Therefore, the further he progressed, the stronger Lin Xian's combat strength became. Lin Xian took a deep breath and retracted all the sword chi in his body. Then he stepped out of the spirit spring. At this moment, most of the energy in the spirit spring had been given to the great dragon sword soul, and there was only a little left. However, the crimson dragon didn't let it go and sucked it all in. After doing all this, he patted his belly in satisfaction. Lin Xian walked slowly as he scanned his surroundings. All the cultivators who were swept by this gaze lowered their heads, not daring to meet it. The little snow-white monkey jumped onto Lin Xian's shoulder and chirped happily. Seeing this, Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat, and he looked at the small bowl on its head. Then his lips curled into a smile. The small bowl on the snow-white monkey's head was said to have a certain connection with the legendary treasure bowl. Not only could this small bowl absorb treasures, but it was also a spatial storage Dharma treasure. All the treasures that the little snow-white monkey had obtained were now in it. The little snow-white monkey took the small bowl and held it in its arms. Then it reached its furry paws into it and groped around. Under Lin Xian's surprised gaze, the little snow-white monkey took out a tattered talisman paper. This talisman paper was only the size of a palm and was dark green all over. At first glance, it looked shabby, but upon closer inspection, one would find that there were strange patterns engraved on it. They looked like Tao patterns and were extremely mysterious. It was a mess. The little snow-white monkey took the tattered dark green talisman paper and handed it to Lin Xian. When the surrounding people saw this, the corners of their mouths twitched slightly. Even a first heaven supremacy wouldn't want such a broken thing. This little Snow-White monkey is really stingy. Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat because he knew that the little Snow-White fox wouldn't give him something for no reason. Moreover, something that could be snatched by the little bowl was definitely not an ordinary item. Therefore, he quickly took the green talisman paper and looked at it carefully. In the next moment, his body trembled, and he was ecstatic. Soul-nurturing talisman. He didn't expect that this tattered and ugly thing to be the famous soul-nurturing talisman from ancient times. This soul-nurturing talisman was very special. It was said that when a martial artist wore it, it could increase his soul power. It could be said that it had endless uses. This thing was perfect for Lin Xian. This was because the increase in soul power was not only beneficial for alchemy, but also for the great dragon sword soul. One had to know that the increase in great dragon sword soul could increase Lin Xian's soul power, and the increase in soul power could also increase the recovery of the great dragon sword soul. It could be said that the two complemented each other. After carefully wearing the soul-nurturing talisman on his body, Lin Xian rubbed the little Snow-White monkey's head. Well done. Next time, I'll give you more than half of the spirit fruits I get. It was a mess. The little Snow-White monkey nodded in satisfaction. Its black, gem-like eyes narrowed into crescents. Moreover, the Crimson Dragon walked over and whispered, "Boy, I have to say that you're really lucky. This soul-nurturing talisman was an extremely precious item, even in ancient times." The Crimson Dragon was right about this. Lin Xian found that the further a martial artist went, the more they cultivated. The original body changed to the soul. It could be said that the further a martial artist went on, the more important soul power was. In the end, no matter what the physical body was like, as long as the soul was not destroyed, they could be reborn. They could even be immortal. From this, it could be seen how important a martial artist's soul was. However, there was no particularly good way to cultivate soul power. Apart from a few geniuses who were born with strong soul power, it was very difficult for others to obtain a cultivation method to cultivate soul power. They could only slowly increase their soul power as their cultivation increased. Even in ancient times, cultivation methods for soul power were extremely rare. They were only in the hands of a few sections. For example, the ancient soul sect had a cultivation method for soul power. The tattered talisman in Lin Xian's hand was probably made by the ancient soul sect. Lin Xian's soul power was originally strong. Now that he had the soul-nurturing talisman, his soul power would definitely grow rapidly. Damn, you're not giving him anything. What about me? The Crimson Dragon God also played with the little Snow-White monkey's things. It was a mess. The little Snow-White monkey rolled its eyes at him, and then placed the little bowl on top of its head. Damn, little guy, don't be so stingy, okay? You have to be generous. The Crimson Dragon smiled mischievously and wrapped itself around it. At this moment, there was a sudden sound of something breaking through the air from afar. Following that, a ray of light like white lightning appeared in front of Lin Xian from afar. Her clothes were whiter than snow, and she was a peerless beauty. This person was Zhao Shui. Looking at the woman in front of him, Lin Xian's expression was strange and unnatural. Chapter 1097. In Lin Xian's memory, Zhao Shui always gave off a charming vibe. She was not as cold as she was now. Lin Xian sighed in his heart. He could not solve this problem now. He could only wait until he had the ability to defeat her before he could unravel her secret. For now, it was better for him to keep this matter in his heart. At this moment, Zhao Shui did not know what Lin Xian was thinking. She stopped and hurriedly said to Lin Xian, "Lin Gongzi, I have found the water pearl that you wanted." "Found it?" Hearing this, Lin Xian raised his eyebrows, and a look of joy appeared on his face. According to the information he received, this water pearl was not inferior to the Lin Quan. Therefore, it was also a rare treasure for him. Zhao Shui nodded slightly and flipped her palm. A blue pearl about the size of a fist appeared in her hand. Lin Xian took a deep breath and took the blue pearl. He then examined it carefully. Yes, it is indeed the water pearl. He felt a surge of energy in it. This energy was very pure. Unlike the energy in the Dragon Ball, which had a trace of evil energy, the water pearl lay in Lin Xian's hand and emitted a gentle light. Every time it flashed, a terrifying energy wave would spread out in all directions. When the surrounding martial artists felt the energy ripples, they were all shocked as they looked ahead with fiery gazes. However, they could only look on enviously. No one dared to make a move, not to mention Zhao Shui, who was a level 7 honorable. Just the aura that Lin Xian exuded was not something that they could resist. Therefore, they could only watch helplessly as their hearts went crazy. On the other hand, Lin Xian was overjoyed. He did not expect the water pearl to be found by Zhao Shui so quickly. However, thinking about it, it made sense. Zhao Shui was like him. She was a warrior with extremely strong soul power. Furthermore, she had the eyes of the void, a long-lost pupil technique. She must have a special method to find the water pearl quickly. What made Lin Xian even happier was that the water spirit pearl contained pure water element. Although he didn't have the water attribute, he had the ice attribute. The ice attribute was also a mutation of the water attribute. It could be said that the two were of the same origin. Therefore, not only could the water spirit pearl increase his cultivation, it could even increase the power of the ice lotus martial soul. After keeping the water spirit pearl, Lin Xian looked at Zhao Shui and said in a deep voice, "Since you have found the water spirit pearl, according to our agreement, I will do my best to help you obtain the Dragon Ball above." Upon hearing Lin Xian's words, a smile finally appeared on Zhao Shui's expressionless face. Seeing this smile, Lin Xian had a very familiar feeling. However, this smile was very brief and disappeared in an instant. The two of them turned around and walked forward. At this moment, the two dragon pillars had already disappeared, but the Dragon Balls were still floating in the air. The Dragon Balls were slightly bigger than the water spirit pearl in Lin Xian's hands, and the energy contained within them was even more terrifying. The energy waves that were emitted turned into dragons that swam around the surface of the Dragon Balls, adding a mysterious aura to it. Lin Xian was not in a hurry to make a move. Instead, he said in a deep voice, "There are a few things that I want to clarify before I make a move." Hearing this, Zhao Shui nodded slightly. "Go ahead." First of all, although Little White can control the magic staff, it doesn't mean that he can control the Dragon Balls 100%. I hope you understand this. "Don't worry, I know," Zhao Shui said. She understood very well that the Dragon Balls were left behind by the king. It was impossible to completely subdue them with just a magic staff. Very good. The second point is that although the Dragon Balls have powerful energy, they also contain some evil energy. This energy can even affect a person's mind. I hope you can consider this point carefully, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. This was also the reason why he and the Crimson Dragon had given up on the Dragon Balls. At this moment, Lin Xian told Zhao Shui the truth. Regardless of whether Zhao Shui lost her memory or not, she was still his friend. Therefore, Lin Xian could not hide anything from her. Hearing this, the surrounding people were shocked. They knew that there was a strange energy in the Dragon Balls, but they did not expect it to be the terrifying evil energy. This energy was extremely terrifying. Ordinary honorables would not dare to touch it. Even a level 7 honorable would have to be careful. Just as everyone was still in shock, another figure arrived in the vicinity like a bolt of lightning. This figure looked at the scene in front of him with a gloomy face. "Damn it, I didn't expect her to get the water spirit pearl first. This figure was the level 7 honorable from Mary Woods. He looked around, but did not find the water spirit pearl. Only now did he know that the water spirit pearl had already been obtained by Zhao Shui. He had also heard Lin Xian's advice very clearly. However, he did not take it to heart. As long as he could obtain the Dragon Balls, he was confident that he could neutralize the evil energy in them. Therefore, the most important thing was to obtain the Dragon Balls. The Dragon Balls were left behind by the king. Furthermore, there is evil energy in them. They must be extremely terrifying. When I obtain the treasure later, it will definitely not be peaceful. I only need to hide in the dark and observe. At the crucial moment, I may still have a chance. The level 7 honorable had already made up his mind. Even if he had to offend both Zhao Shui and Lin Xian, he had to obtain the Dragon Balls. Hearing Lin Xian's words, Zhao Shui pondered for a moment. However, she quickly raised her head. Her beautiful face was filled with determination. I understand what you said. However, no matter what, I must obtain the Dragon Balls. All right, since you insist, I will do my best to help you. Then Lin Xian rubbed the little white monkey's head and said, "Little White, let's begin." The little white monkey nodded. Then it jumped off Lin Xian's shoulder and began waving the magic staff in its hand. Suddenly, the Dragon Balls above trembled slightly. Then they emitted an even brighter light. It felt as if a blue sun was shining in all directions. At the same time, the crimson dragon moved. It raised its dragon claws and quickly carved a formation in the air. It enveloped the Dragon Balls and Lin Xian and the rest. Of course, this was to isolate the Dragon Balls from the outside world. Otherwise, if the Dragon Balls went crazy and attracted powerful sea demons, they would be in trouble. After doing all this, Lin Xian said solemnly, "It's time for you to act." Zhao Shui nodded. Then, the spiritual energy in her body surged and quickly formed a virtual eye above her. It was like the eyes of a god looking down on the common people. The surrounding warriors who were exploring all returned and looked at the scene in front of them solemnly. This was because they knew that the most crucial moment had come. The process of obtaining the treasure was extremely dangerous. No one knew what would happen. Therefore, everyone was waiting. They were waiting for an opportunity to obtain the Dragon Balls. Chapter 1098, Elder Song. And the others also had heavy hearts because they didn't expect Lin Xian to participate in such an important matter. After the Dragon Ball was isolated, the rest was dangerous because what they had to do was to collect the Dragon Ball. During this process, they would definitely use external forces. However, if there was any external interference, the Dragon Ball would automatically defend against it. Although it wasn't a king, the power was not something that an ordinary honorable could resist. Therefore, they had to be careful. This required the little white monkey because he could communicate with the Dragon Ball through his staff and deceive it. Of course, he could only deceive a part of it and couldn't completely cover it. At this moment, Zhao Shui took a deep breath and controlled the void eye to attack the Dragon Ball. Suddenly, the void eye started to rotate, and a whirlpool appeared in the huge eye. It quickly expanded and enveloped the Dragon Ball. The whirlpool rotated like a black hole with an extremely strong suction force, as if it wanted to devour the Dragon Ball. Feeling the pull of this force, the Dragon Ball trembled rapidly, and then exploded with a powerful light. An extremely terrifying force surged out of the Dragon Ball and quickly rushed upwards. This energy overflowed, and the entire Dragon Palace shook as if it would collapse at any moment. At this moment, the little white monkey quickly waved the staff in his hand and communicated with the Dragon Ball above to deceive it. However, the effect was minimal and could only weaken the Dragon Ball's energy by a little. Dragon Sword Spirit. At this critical moment, a sharp sword energy suddenly burst out of Lin Xian's body. This sword energy quickly rushed upwards to resist the Dragon Ball. Everyone's hearts shook when they sensed the sword chi. Even the 7th-level venerated realm expert from Marywood's frowned. He didn't expect the young man in front of him to have such a powerful sword aura. The surrounding martial artists were even more shocked because this sword energy made them feel incomparable fear. With Lin Xian's help, the battle situation above changed once again. An extremely sharp sword aura quickly enveloped the entire Dragon Ball. It was as if it wanted to cut it apart. If it was just an ordinary sword chi, it would be impossible for it to get close to the Dragon Pearl, or it would shatter the moment it got close. However, Lin Xian's sword chi was different. It was not an ordinary sword chi, but a sword chi produced by a saint art like the great dragon sword soul. Its attack power could be said to be incomparably powerful. Even if the Dragon Ball was something left behind by a king, it was impossible for it to instantly shatter this sword energy. However, Lin Xian's actions also angered the Dragon Pearl. The energy was weaker than he expected. It seemed that the staff in the Snow-White Monkey's hand played a role to a certain extent. Moreover, although they were forced back, it was not without effect. At least a small area above the Dragon Pearl was covered by the sword aura. Sure enough, the awakened Dragon Sword Soul had become extremely powerful. Even the Dragon Pearl left behind by a king could not be completely destroyed in an instant. This was definitely a great opportunity. Seeing this scene, Zhao Shui's face lit up. In the next moment, he quickly formed a seal with his palms and controlled the virtual sky to attack the area of the Dragon Pearl that was covered by the sword aura. A golden light appeared in Zhao Shui's beautiful eyes, bringing with it a terrifying aura. Not only that, but as her eyes changed, the virtual sky also changed. In the huge pupil, golden lines quickly appeared, condensing into a mysterious pattern that covered the eyeball. This change made the virtual sky even more powerful. The originally grayish-black vortex had now turned pale gold, and an even more powerful devouring power was forming within it. Lin Xian also activated the Dragon Sword Soul again, sending out sharp sword aura that slashed forward. The Snow-White Monkey also quickly waved the staff in its hand, and in the end, it simply threw the entire staff into the golden vortex. Because the main force of this battle was Zhao Shui, as long as she devoured the Dragon Pearl, everything would be done. Lin Xian and the Snow-White Monkey only assisted from the side. This Dragon Pearl was an ownerless object and could only rely on its instincts to defend. Previously, Zhao Shui posed the greatest threat to it, so its resistance was also the greatest. However, it seemed to be different now. Chapter 1099. Because the Snow-White Monkey threw the staff into the golden vortex. The staff had a certain connection with the Dragon Ball and could weaken the Dragon Ball's resistance. Now that it was thrown into the golden vortex, the Dragon Ball's resistance to the golden vortex was weakened. This was definitely the most important step. Zhao Shui seemed to feel the change and was overjoyed. The next moment, she shouted, and the light in her eyes shone brighter. The golden vortex above her quickly turned from pale gold to pure gold. Finally, it was like a giant beast that swallowed the Dragon Ball. Seeing this, the surrounding people were in an uproar. They did not expect Zhao Shui to succeed. The Dragon Ball was like a blue sun that bloomed with incomparable light. In an instant, it collided with the golden vortex. Although the blue Dragon Ball entered the golden vortex, the power it carried was too terrifying. When the two collided, a powerful energy wave burst out and quickly swept in all directions. This energy was extremely terrifying. In an instant, it tore apart the array set up by the Crimson Dragon and quickly rushed in all directions. The surrounding people's faces changed drastically, and they quickly retreated. Some warriors who retreated slowly were even sent flying. Zhao Shui was also affected by this energy wave and immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. However, she did not care. Her eyes were full of surprise. Success. She finally succeeded in subduing the Dragon Ball. Although it was affected, the Dragon Ball gradually sank into the golden vortex. At this moment, an extremely anxious voice came from afar. "Stop immediately. You can't take the Dragon Ball away. The Dragon Ball is the hope of Heidi City. You will push Heidi City into the abyss." Hearing this voice, everyone was stunned because they realized that this voice did not come from a human. Zhao Shui and Lin Xian were also stunned. They did not expect someone to stop them at the last moment. Finally, the two of them turned their heads and saw a figure walking over from the Dragon Palace. It was an old man with white hair and a walking stick. What was more strange was that he carried a turtle shell on his back that was covered with moss. Xian, Turtle Tribe, another member of the Xian Turtle Tribe. Many people were puzzled because this old man was too old. His hair, eyebrows, and beard almost reached the ground. Needless to say, this was a Xian turtle that had lived for countless years. Lin Xian looked at the old black tortoise and frowned. Although the other party was old, and his blood seemed to have dried up with his sharp soul power, he could feel that the old man's realm was extremely terrifying. He seemed to be above Zhao Shui. "I never expected the Xian Turtle Clan to have an 8th Heaven Exalt Realm expert. As well, what? 8th Heaven Venerable?" Hearing those words, everyone's hearts trembled. They looked at the aged black tortoise and revealed expressions of disbelief. They had never imagined that the black tortoise that could barely walk was actually an 8th heavenly layer exalted realm expert. This was a figure who was more powerful than everyone present. If he were to attack, it was likely that no one would be able to stop him. However, the old tortoise shook his head slightly. "I can't. I'm old. Although my cultivation is still there, I can't use much of my battle strength." The old tortoise's voice was old. He looked at the young man in front of him, and his eyes flickered. Because he didn't expect this young man to be able to see through his cultivation with a single glance, Zhao Shui regained her coldness. She glanced at the old tortoise and said coldly, "I respect you as a senior and won't attack you. However, I won't return the Dragon Pearl." It wasn't easy for her to obtain the Dragon Pearl. How could she return it? After all, it was a treasure left behind by a king. On the side, the 7th Heaven Venerable of Merry Woods also said, "You know that you have no battle strength left, yet you still dare to stop us. Could it be that there's a secret behind this?" Now that the Dragon Pearl had been taken away by Zhao Shui, there was no hope for him to attack again. However, he still hadn't given up on the Dragon Pearl. Therefore, now that the old tortoise had appeared, it might be a chance for him. The old tortoise trembled slightly as he walked in front of everyone. His old voice sounded again. "I've lived for thousands of years, and my life is about to come to an end. In my final years, I really don't want to see the underwater city fall into endless danger." Thousands of years. Hearing this, everyone was shocked again. They didn't expect this old man to have lived for so long, even longer than an ordinary king. On one hand, warriors cultivated to obtain great power. On the other hand, they wanted to obtain a longer lifespan. This was because only by living could they enjoy everything. Generally, venerables only had a lifespan of 500 to 800 years. Once they advanced to king, they could live up to 1,000 years. However, A king could only live up to 2,000 years at most. It was impossible to live any longer because this was the rule of heaven and earth. No one could change this unless they broke through to the next realm. However, the Xian tortoise tribe seemed to be somewhat special. This was because the Xian tortoise tribe was a goblin tribe. Their lifespan was originally longer than that of humans. Naturally, the strong warriors in the tribe could live longer. Therefore, it was possible that the strong warrior of the Xian tortoise tribe could live for thousands of years. However, even if he lived for thousands of years, he couldn't escape the fate of death. Life and death reincarnation. It seemed that no one could escape from this rule. At least from what Lin Xian knew, no warrior in any realm could escape from it. He didn't know if a realm beyond his knowledge could do it. The old Xian tortoise's words seemed to resonate with everyone, especially those of the older generation. Their eyes flickered as they remained silent. They had lived for hundreds of years and were close to the end of their lives. That was why they had followed the young man into the remote sky's secret realm. They wanted to take a gamble and find treasures in the secret realm to break through their cultivation. Only then could they extend their lifespan. At this moment, seeing the old Xian tortoise who was about to die, they naturally resonated with him. You may not know this, but this Dragon Ball can be said to be the guardian of the underwater city. There are countless sea clan near the Dragon Ball. Every year, they will contribute their strength to the Dragon Ball, and the Dragon Ball is responsible for protecting the peace of the entire underwater city. This has been going on for thousands of years. I clearly remember that before the Dragon Ball appeared, this underwater city would often create tremors, tsunamis, and countless undercurrents, which posed a great threat to the Sea Clan. Ever since the Dragon Ball appeared, these disasters have disappeared. Therefore, for the safety of the underwater city, you can't take the Dragon Clan away. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. They didn't expect the Dragon Ball to have such a function. Could it be that this Dragon Ball can affect the laws of this world? The Crimson Dragon cried out in surprise. Speaking of which, his cultivation realm was the highest, so his knowledge was naturally far greater than these people's. When he heard the old Xian tortoise's words, he immediately frowned. If it could affect the laws of nature, this Dragon Ball would be too terrifying. Chapter 1100. One had to know that mountain torrents, tsunamis, and undercurrents were all natural phenomena. No matter how powerful the treasure was, it could only affect some of them. It could not completely control them. Moreover, there had not been any tsunamis within 1,000 years of the Dragon Ball's appearance. This was already controlling the world. It was too strange. The cultivation of the surrounding warriors was too low to understand the Crimson Dragon's words. However, Zhao Shui and the 7th level Venerable frowned slightly when they heard it. The old black tortoise was also a little surprised. He did not expect that there would be someone who knew so much. He sighed and continued, "Indeed, nothing can control the world. But what if these disasters were not caused by the world?" What? Not caused by the world? Could it be caused by humans? Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Powerful warriors could split mountains and rivers and cause disasters. This was not a problem. However, it was only in an instant or in a very short period of time. No one had heard of anyone who could create disasters for hundreds or thousands of years. This was simply impossible. Even a king would not be able to do it. But now, the old black tortoise was telling everyone that the disasters in the past were man-made. This was simply too unbelievable. Are you sure? Lin Xian was also very surprised. He could not think of what kind of expert could do this. The Crimson Dragon frowned and looked very unnatural. It whispered to itself, "Could it be him?" "Who?" Lin Xian quickly asked after hearing it. The Crimson Dragon did not speak, but looked at Lin Xian meaningfully. Seeing Rizalong's expression, Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat. He quickly thought of a name. This name was the target he was looking for this time, and it was also the name of this secret realm. Heavenly Netherbird. Perhaps only those ancient ferocious beasts would be able to cause such a disaster. Who are you talking about? The surrounding cultivators asked anxiously. They really wanted to know what kind of existence could do this. However, before Lin Xian could say anything, an exciting aura suddenly surged from below the underwater city. Feeling this aura, everyone's hair stood on end as fear rose from the bottom of their hearts. Even the 7th level honorable and Zhao Shui from Marywood's frowned, as if they were facing a great enemy, not to mention the ordinary disciples. The old black turtle's expression also changed drastically, and his aged voice trembled slightly. It's him. It's him. It's alive again. Lin Xian's expression was also grave because that aura was too terrifying. It was as if there was a ball of flames that wanted to roast his body. This was too inconceivable. One had to know that this was the bottom of the sea. How could there be a fire? Even if there was, it wouldn't be able to burn. However, the aura was extremely scorching, bringing with it a terrifying heat that even melted the seawater. However, the aura left as quickly as it came, disappearing without a trace in an instant. Many disciples gasped for breath with ghastly pale countenances, and their entire bodies were drenched in sweat. What was down there? The elder of Divine Bird Palace kept gasping for breath, his face full of horror. At that moment, they were like ants meeting a giant golden dragon, producing an uncontrollable fear. That fear came from the depths of their bodies, from their blood, and was simply uncontrollable. This was too shocking. One had to know that their ancestor was the 3-headed divine bird, an extremely powerful existence. Although these people didn't have as pure a bloodline as their ancestor, they were descendants after all, and their bodies contained a trace of the divine bird's bloodline. Even so, they couldn't resist that aura at all, and so they were terrified. The other disciples were also frightened. Wasn't this underwater city already under the sea? How could there be something down there? Who knew what kind of monster was down there? A group of warriors felt their scalps tingle, and their faces were full of horror. They didn't dare to stay any longer. The old black turtle sighed, and then said softly, "You should have heard of the heaven-list demonic beasts." Heaven-list demonic beasts? Hearing this, everyone was shocked and stopped running away with a suspicious look on their faces. Isn't that a legendary demonic beast? Does it really exist? It's actually a heaven-list demonic beast. This is incredible. Everyone was discussing and was shocked. In this world other than humans, there were also demonic beasts, all kinds of demonic beasts. In the ancient times, there were experts who categorized these demonic beasts into heaven list and earth list. Any demonic beast that could be on the heaven list was an extremely powerful existence in the world. Among them, the demonic beasts on the heaven list were even more terrifying. Each of them was a peerless beast, and their power was unimaginable. However, as time passed, the powerful sects of the ancient times declined, and those heaven list demonic beasts gradually disappeared. Now, only a few earth list demonic beasts still existed. The heaven list demonic beasts seemed to have become legends. That was why these disciples were so shocked when they heard about the heaven list demonic beasts. Seeing that everyone knew about the legend of the heaven list demonic beasts, the old black turtle continued. Among the heaven list demonic beasts, there is a demonic beast that is ranked 7th, called the Great Xia Dragonfinch. What? The Great Xia Dragonfinch? How is that possible? Hearing this, everyone screamed. The older generation figures were also shocked. Even Zhao Shui and Marywood's Venerable 7 couldn't believe it. The great Xia dragonfinch was a terrifying existence that was ranked 7th on the heaven list demonic beasts. It was definitely a peerless beast. With their cultivation, they couldn't even resist a trace of the other party's aura. Everyone was terrified, and many of them even wanted to escape. If it was really the great Xia dragonfinch, then they wouldn't have any chance to resist. Not to mention them, the entire Tianwu continent would probably cease to exist. One had to know that these people were all disciples of the top sects in the continent, so they knew a lot of things. For example, they knew about the legend of the great Xia dragonfinch. It was the guardian beast of the great Xia kingdom. The great Xia kingdom was not the great Xia kingdom that Lin Xian came from. It was a true ancient divine kingdom. Legend had it that outside the Tianwu continent, there was an even wider world, and the great Xia kingdom was one of them. It was said that the great Xia kingdom's territory was very vast, even larger than the entire Tianwu continent. One could imagine how powerful this kingdom was. Perhaps even the top king of the Tianwu continent wouldn't be able to cause any waves in the great Xia kingdom. And this dragonfinch was the strongest divine beast in the great Xia kingdom, protecting the safety of the entire great Xia kingdom. It was definitely an extremely terrifying existence, an existence that everyone could only look up to. However, as time passed, the great Xia kingdom seemed to have disappeared, and the great Xia dragonfinch also became a legend. Chapter 1101. Furthermore, it was said that from then on, the entire Tianwu continent had become an endless sea. Even a king could not fly over it. In the end, the outside world became a legend, and people treated this matter as a myth. However, they did not expect to hear news of the great Xia dragonfinch in the remote sky secret realm. At this moment, the crimson dragon snorted coldly. What kind of joke is this? How can it be the great Xia dragonfinch? If it really is the great Xia dragonfinch, I'm afraid the entire secret realm will cease to exist. The crimson dragon's voice rang out, causing everyone to shiver. Following that, everyone's faces were filled with doubt. That's right, what kind of terrifying existence could easily destroy the entire Tianwu continent? How could a secret realm trap it? The crimson dragon had come to look for the heavenly netherbird, but now the great Xia dragonfinch had appeared. This made him very skeptical, so he retorted. The others also came to their senses and stared at the old black tortoise, their faces full of doubt. Could it be that you deliberately made up a story to deceive us in order to protect the Dragon Ball? That's right. How could it be the legendary great Xia dragonfinch? The group of people stared at the old black tortoise in disbelief. The old black tortoise shook his head slightly and sighed. You've misunderstood. The real great Xia dragonfinch has long disappeared in the long river of history. The one below is not the great Xia dragonfinch, but the heavenly netherbird. The heavenly netherbird has a trace of the great Xia dragonfinch's bloodline, and its strength is terrifying. It is also a demonic beast on the heaven list. In ancient times, this heavenly netherbird bewitched the world and was sealed in this secret realm by a peerless expert. This seal not only seals it, but also consumes its strength at all times. I'm afraid it can't use much of its strength now. But even so, it's not something we can resist. After all, none of the demonic beasts on the heaven list are easy to deal with. Furthermore, as time passes, the seal will loosen. I'm afraid it won't be long before the heavenly netherbird breaks out of the seal. At that time, not only will it be a disaster for the entire underwater city, but the remote sky secret realm will also fall into eternal damnation, and if he recovers his strength, I'm afraid your world won't be spared either. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. The old black tortoise was right. Although the heavenly netherbird was not as strong as the great Xia dragonfinch, it was still a demonic beast on the heaven list. Moreover, the aura that everyone felt just now was really too terrifying. It was not something they could resist. If the other party really came out, none of them would be able to escape. Therefore, everyone's hearts were heavy and their expressions were ugly. However, there was one exception, and that was Lin Xian. The corner of his mouth curled up, revealing a trace of joy. This was because the main reason he came here was to find the heavenly netherbird. Originally, he had only come to try his luck and wasn't completely confident. However, after hearing what the old tortoise said, he was certain that the heavenly netherbird was sealed under the underwater city. Only the flames produced by peerless beasts could burn in the endless sea and never be extinguished. As if responding to the old black turtle's words, an extremely low and obscure voice came from the depths of the ground. It was as if it was an illusion, but also as if it was real. Accompanied by this voice, everyone's bodies trembled, as if they were in an endless sea of fire. The spiritual energy in their bodies was about to be roasted. Buzz. Lin Xian also felt this heat. Immediately, the big red sword soul in his body seemed to be activated and let out a sonorous sword hum. The big dragon sword soul rarely had such a phenomenon. One could imagine how terrifying the other party was. The old black turtle's body swayed, as if it would fall at any moment. Lin Xian took a deep breath and then sighed. He could tell that the old black turtle didn't have much time left to live. This was because, with his perception, he could clearly feel that the blood in the old black turtle's body had almost dried up. It could be said that it was a miracle that it could live until now. At the same time, he kept thinking about the news from before. Although he had obtained countless treasures, none of them were as important as this news because it was really good news for him. However, the only thing that worried him was that the heavenly netherbird was too strong. He was afraid that with his current strength, he wouldn't be able to contend against it. It seemed that he could only think of another way. At this moment, the old black turtle spoke again. The Dragon Ball contains powerful energy that can help prolong the seal for a little longer. It can also suppress and eliminate the disaster caused by the heavenly netherbird. So, please return the Dragon Ball. Hearing this, everyone fell silent and looked at Zhao Shui because the Dragon Ball was in her hands. Feeling the gazes of so many people, Zhao Shui's expression didn't change. She still said in a cold voice, "Using the Dragon Clan to suppress it will only prolong it for a while. It won't solve the problem at all. Moreover, from the aura just now, the seal below is already very loose. I'm afraid that even with the Dragon Ball, it won't last long. Now that the Dragon Ball is gone, it might be better. You can make plans in advance and maybe find a new way out. So, I won't return the Dragon Ball." Zhao Shui decisively refused. She was right. Even if she kept the Dragon Ball with the current situation, it would only be able to suppress it for 1 or 2 years. After that, it wouldn't be able to suppress it at all. Chapter 1102, Eighth Heaven, Venerable Realm. Feeling this aura, everyone's expression changed. They did not expect the old black turtle to suddenly erupt with such tyrannical power. This power was too strong. Even Zhao Shui and the seventh heaven, Venerable of Merry Woods, could not resist it. Lin Xian also quickly used the red lotus armor to protect his body, and at the same time, he kept retreating. At the same time, he sensed that the spiritual power and chi and blood in the old black turtle's body were burning rapidly. It was because he burned his life without caring about the consequences that he erupted with such a terrifying aura. Damn it, This old guy doesn't want to die with us, does he? The disciples of the divine bird palace screamed crazily. Hearing this, everyone's expression became extremely ugly. If the old black turtle really wanted to die with them, they would not be able to escape at all. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. There was no fear on his face because he knew that the old black turtle would not do this. This was because this power was obtained by burning qi and blood and life. It was impossible to kill everyone. Moreover, it was useless no matter what the old black turtle did. After all, things had already happened. Even if he killed them all, it could not be reversed. Therefore, he did not think that the old black turtle wanted to kill them. Sure enough, Lin Xian's guess was right. The old black turtle did not attack them. Instead, he used the last of his strength to quickly send a voice transmission to the underwater city, and even the Sea Clan further away. All Sea Clan members, listen up. From today onwards, leave the underwater city, and even this sea area. Also, don't come back for 100 years. Because a great disaster is about to happen here. This voice turned into rolling waves and spread clearly into the distance. Hearing this voice, everyone fell silent. They did not expect that the old black turtle would not attack them, but warn the Sea Clan to evacuate. This action made them fall silent. However, at this moment, a terrifying fluctuation suddenly came from the underground of the underwater city, causing the entire dragon palace to tremble. Then, the surrounding ground cracked, and countless trenches appeared. Balls of black flames gushed out from the cracks and burned fiercely. This scene was very strange. This was the bottom of the sea, but there were countless black flames burning endlessly. Moreover, what was even more terrifying was that these black flames were too terrifying. They directly evaporated a large amount of seawater and even distorted the void. Accompanying these flames was an extremely deep voice. Just you wait, I'm about to break the seal. Old Taoist song. You dared to seal me in the past. I will definitely avenge you. I want your mystic realm to cease to exist. His voice was filled with a primeval aura and endless fury. Hearing this voice, everyone's expression changed. They didn't expect the seal to be so damaged that even the heavenly Netherbird's voice could be heard. This was not good news at all. Not only the human Jinji in the Dragon Palace, but all the sea clans in the underwater city and even the sea areas further away also heard this voice. They were all terrified, and their bodies were trembling. Run! The sealed Great Demon King is about to come out. Damn it, the heavenly Netherbird is crazy. It wants to destroy the entire secret realm. Let's go. We can't stay here any longer. At this moment, everyone was fleeing. They wanted to flee to a safe place, although the Heaven Serene bird couldn't break the seal for the time being. If it continued to stay in the underwater city, it would be burned to ashes by the black flames. Zhao Shui shouted as she used her movement skill and quickly ran outside. Because the situation was extremely chaotic, and she had the Dragon Ball, who knew if someone would take advantage of the chaos to steal it. Therefore, without any hesitation, she turned into a flash of white lightning and quickly left the place. Lin Xian waved his hand and called back the Crimson Dragon and the Snow White Monkey. Then he used the phantom demonic steps and turned into a flash of sword light, disappearing. The two of them were very fast and disappeared in an instant. Seeing Lin Xian leave, Elder Song and the others also looked dignified. Then they said in a deep voice, "Follow me and break out with all your strength." The people of the Merry Woods and the Divine Bird Palace also fled in all directions, running out of the Dragon Palace. Outside the Dragon Palace, countless sea clans also fled. Because the disaster had already arrived, the black flames coming out of the underground were too terrifying. Even Venerables couldn't fight against it. Fortunately, they didn't have to deal with the black flames. They just had to be careful and avoid them. Although it was dangerous, it wasn't fatal. The seventh-level venerables of the Merry Woods used a powerful technique to safely bring the people of the Merry Woods out of the Dragon Palace. Then she said to them, "Hurry up and leave this underwater world. I still have some things to do. Don't wait for me." Then she turned into a flash of ghostly light and instantly rushed into the distance. This direction was the direction that Zhao Shui and Lin Xian had left in. It seemed that the seventh-level venerables of the Merry Woods had not given up on the Dragon Ball. The entire underwater world, which was the Mirage Sea Zone, was in panic and disaster. The disciples of Senma College fought desperately and finally left the Mirage Sea Zone. The moment they stepped on land, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. However, long before this, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui had already left the Mirage Sea. In a low valley, the two rays of light flickered and then turned into two figures. One was a tall young man with an ancient sword on his back. The other was a beautiful woman in a white dress. The two of them were Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. "Lin Gongzi, thank you for your help," Zhao Shui said. "It's nothing. You helped me find the water spirit pearl. It's my duty to help you." Lin Xian smiled. Zhao Shui nodded her head. "All right, since that's the case, I'll take my leave first. See you next time." "Wait," Xian suddenly said. "Why? Do you have something else?" Zhao Shui frowned slightly and looked unhappy. What she wanted to do now was to quickly refine the energy inside the Dragon Pearl. She didn't want to do anything else. "I have a plan. I wonder if you're interested?" Lin Xian said slowly. Zhao Shui shook her head slightly. "Forget it. I have other things to do. We'll talk about other things next time." She turned to leave. At this moment, Lin Xian's voice floated from behind. "Once this plan succeeds, I can guarantee that the benefits you will receive will be many times more powerful than the energy in the Dragon Ball." "What?" Hearing this, Zhao Shui was stunned. She stopped in her tracks and looked confused. Then she turned around with a cold smile on her beautiful face. "Lin Gongzi, don't joke around. How can such a thing be possible? The Dragon Ball is a treasure left behind by a king. I can't think of anything here that can be many times more powerful than it." Seeing Zhao Shui's look of disbelief, Lin Xian smiled and whispered a few words. After hearing this, Zhao Shui's pupils shrank. Then she raised her head and looked at Lin Xian in shock. "You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.